Hello, good evening, everybody. Welcome back. It's PSGL. We return. And tonight, we go racing at Belgium. It was Singapore, but a quick change has been made. And we are returning here tonight, folks, to PSGL at Belgium. The Spa circuit, of course, Belgian Grand Prix territory. My name is, of course, George Morgan. Joining me in the commentary box, as always, Jack Kinnan. Jack, it's Wednesday. It means only one thing.
It's the best day of the week, isn't it? I mean, what else would you be doing on a Wednesday evening other than fantastic PSGL action? I mean, it was brilliant last week. Super close race towards the end now. But we do have championship runaway leader at the moment. Over a race distance clear now. Thomas Ronnar 21 points clear up the top. So let's see if that gap can get closed today. Other than that, incredibly close. Altmaier back up to second in the championship right now. And it was a first display of Ferrari in their new colours, the two new drivers they have, Barry and Nicholas, and working together very well in their first outing. Yeah,
they certainly are. It has to be said. Obviously, we know about the long-term friendship between that of Nicholas Longuet and Barry Burman. Just seemed like it was the right thing, to sort of see them working together, pulling off the Ferrari team tactics of last week. That was the major story. Did work to some degree, Jack, but not perhaps to the extent that they would have wanted. No race win on the day, but they did pick up a P3, but no one could stop Thomas Ronnar, of course, taking victory last time at Spain. Jarno Opmeer gave it everything on that final lap, just could not quite close the gap as much as he could, but he is still in the title fight, and that's exactly what's on the line. And we've just hit the halfway point in the championship as well, Jack. Today is the halfway point in this championship run.
It's amazing. It's only the halfway point. That's what
Incredible.
I see it as. I mean, we've had 7 rounds. We've got another 7 still to come your way. So stay tuned. But we had switched out Singapore for Spa. I mean, legendary circuit. I'm all in favour for swapping this out. I don't think anyone would have shown up to Singapore, I'll be totally honest.
I say aye on that one. I think obviously Spa is just so iconic, folks at home. Obviously, if you know Formula One, you know Spa-Francorchamps. Obviously, lots of heritage, a lot of history, a lot of drama over the years as well. And you can hear the clock ticking. That means we're going to be heading to qualifying very, very shortly. But let's just talk about the championship right now, Jack. Obviously, Ron Haar now leads, as you alluded to, currently sitting on that 64-point territory. 2 wins in his last 2 races. Obviously, the first one coming at Brazil. He'd been knocking on the door a couple of times, obviously picking up P2 as well at Abu Dhabi, following up later on then with a P3 at Saudi Arabia. Finally broke his duck, though, in PSGL. Further back then, Jarno Opmeer also just in behind. A couple of, win to his name as well. Of course, that incredible drive at the USA and a brilliant second place as well last week, following up a 3rd at Brazil. Another man who's taken 2 wins, though, who we haven't seen take top end since, is Barry Burman. Now, is he going to break the hoodoo, Jack Kinnan? Raced in Ferrari colours for the first time last week. Can he get himself back on top in the near future? I know he's not on the grid tonight, but still, can he get himself back to the forefront?
Yeah, I think he absolutely.
Oh no, he is on the grid tonight. He is on the grid tonight.
He is certainly on the grid.
I keep looking at the orange. I keep looking at the orange and keep expecting to see his name.
It's the orange. It's the McLaren Ferrari thing. Yeah.
Because of course,
I keep looking
at McLaren. I've seen Wilson Hughes and Harvey Cowan. He is in the Ferrari, folks. Before you say anything, yes, he is there. But can he break the hoodoo, Jack? 'Cause it's all about getting back on top. We spoke about it. Did he peak too early this season?
Well, it's the argument we always come back to every season. It's the 4th season we've had this now. Has he peaked too early? Well, it just remains to be seen, really. Goes strong around here at Spa. I remember back to season 1 where he had to come back from the back of the grid nearly to try and challenge for a victory. Safety car, infringements and all that kind of thing. But he needs to kind of get on top of it now. Opmeer in front of him by just a point in the championship, so he still has an opportunity there. He has got, obviously, incredibly quick teammate in the form of Nicholas Longuet. We know that they'll work together to try and get maximum points out of this as well. But Manu is still in the championship fight. Didn't have a great race last time. The first race he was out of the points was Jake Benham last week. First week out of the points, P11 for him. Still in the championship fight. But we know, if we think back, I think it was maybe 2-3 seasons ago, remember how strong he was around Spa. Fought Jarno Opmeer all the way to the end. Of course, they weren't teammates at the time. Now they are. I'm expecting a really strong Jake Benham performance tonight.
Yeah, and if you guys are wondering what's on those hoardings behind you, that is, of course, the Creator Series. Of course, we've got banners and graphics that have existed on there. Forgot to take them off before tonight's PSGL stream. So don't be fooled. This is not the Creator Series. This is PSGL. But yes, we're currently seeing Philip Presnader head round Brachel's corner and being tailed by an Alpine as well. Only 2 cars out on track. Patrick Schipos just in behind as well. And effectively, I would say Alpine's new team leader as well, Jack. Obviously, we did hear that Luke Smith is renewed, but with Chipos being, I would suppose, the more experienced driver in the Alpine team, I'm guessing that you would place him as the henchman in terms of his position at Alpine.
I think so, yeah. And I thought his tweet was brilliant. It was that it was sadly he was staying at Alpine with Luke alongside Luke Smith.
PR nightmare.
Absolutely PR nightmare of Patrick Cephas. But that's brilliant. No, I think there's good team synergy there. And we did have the news, not on the grid this evening, but if he is watching, Ruben Pedreño, now at Alpine in F1 Esports, absolutely deserved promotion. I think he was so strong. And I think that's going to really add to Alpine's lineup. Obviously, of course, Philip Preschneider making way for Pedreño, but I think he's been almost one of the quickest guys outside of F1 Esports at the moment, and Pedreño I think is a great signing for Alpine. A young team, you have to say, probably one of the youngest lineups on the field, but I think they're setting themselves up for the future with that lineup.
Yep. Absolutely right indeed. Congratulations obviously have to go to Ruben Pedreño on securing a placement in the Alpine Esports team. And, they did release some graphics and also an interview footage with Ruben Pedreño, of course, on signing to the French outfit. Now we're seeing Patrick Chipos head out on a first-time lap. This, of course, on intermediate tyres, though, folks. This will not be representative, but still, nonetheless, it tends to be a common concern when it comes to drivers out on track. It's become a trait, Jack, that we've seen in recent times. Obviously, not something we've necessarily seen in the past. Drivers really sitting out the start of a Q1 session. It tends to take a while for them to come out these days. Didn't used to be the case. You'd see them all out in intermediate tyres. But no, they'd rather take a nap instead. It's interesting.
Yeah, I think they're just not bothered anymore coming out onto the track on these intermediates. So maybe my thing of the certainty of death taxes and drivers and inters in Q1 might just be coming to an end as we go into the end of the game cycle. But we'll wait and see. But for now, Patrick Cephas keeping the trend alive. While we're on the topic of course, transfers and silly season. I mean, the big one, I think, was Marcel Kiefer leaving Red Bull.
Massive.
That's the big one, which is, Marcel has been at Red Bull since forever. So it's a big move for him to make way out of Red Bull, which leaves that seat open on the F1 Esports grid. And of course, we have to wonder now, what are Marcel's plans? Where is he? Is he going to stay in F1 Esports? You'd imagine he is.
He confirmed he is. He confirmed he is. Live on stream last night. Obviously, he was very vocal and sort of defending his position, as we now see Chipos go to the top with a 146.357. We did get confirmation from Kiefer live on his stream on Twitch last night that he is staying in F1 Esports. Just has not yet referred to what team that will be. So obviously we'll have to wait and see what that is. But obviously with silly season comes podcast as well, Jack. And I was about to infer maybe we should start a podcast about all this stuff. But no, there's already one that exists. eCast, everybody. What a tremendous job those guys do. Big fan of what they are doing. Obviously Joe Stevenson being one of them. And also the other one is Jacobs as well. He's done a tremendous job. Ryan Jacobs, I believe his name is. Incredible character, has put a lot of work into this podcast. I've been so excited for those two to see where this direction takes. And reporting week to week on league racing, whether it's PSGL or it could be WOR, could be anything. Obviously, we've got lots happening in the league racing scene right now. And eCast podcast is exactly what people need. So if you haven't done so, I highly recommend you check that out. And you can hear reviews as well as to what happens here on PSGL race weekends, obviously every Wednesday. But yes, folks, it has certainly been a very active time. Silly season in full swing. Challenges just around the corner as well. So some of these drivers you might be seeing, of course, looking to try and gain placement in the world of F1 esports and among many other things. And we also saw today, Jack, EA dropped a little teaser, F1 23 just around the corner by the looks of things.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's the 1st of March and we're getting the teaser already for F1 23 very early, you have to say. But all that was there, blank car and a new era apparently is what we're seeing up there. And you'd want to hope so, wouldn't you, with everything that's gone on over the few years with the game. So we hope that this new era is going to hopefully bring us a new working game, I suppose, to put it bluntly, and a game that the drivers enjoy to drive. But wait and see. But again, we could be close to a release of that maybe sooner than we think. But drivers out on dry tyres now. Patrick Sipos giving us the only track action for the past 5 or 6 minutes. Luke Smith, his teammate, out on the track as well as Philip Preschnader also out on the circuit as well. But as he comes out onto the circuit, a big PSGL PC F1 welcome to Cameron Dowds, who makes his PC debut.
Yeah, wonderful to see Cameron Dowds, and a wonderful family as well. I know his father is a big fan of the league racing scene and also the F1 esports scene. He's really been pushing Cameron and supporting him through his efforts to become a future F1 esports star. And we love those kind of Cinderella stories in the world of league racing, folks. Cameron Dowds looking to try and solidify his place up at the top end, representing the mighty RAG team, of course, Romain Grosjean's esports team. That has recently found so much success in the world of ESL R1, not to mention the world of F1 esports as well. And what better time, what better place as well, Jack, to commence your very first PC F1 event at PSGL here at Spa-Francorchamps. An amazing opportunity for this young man.
Absolutely, yeah. I think it's almost scary how young they're starting now. I mean, you've got Otis who's 14, now Cameron who's 13 years of age, and they're already up at this level. So I'm excited to see how Cameron gets on. But yeah, absolutely, great for him to get a chance to race against all of these guys up at the top level as well. I mean, you've got the other Red Bull as well, Daniel Kyer as well, who's also in a PC F1 as well. So great to have him on the grid too. So plenty of names that are making debuts, but plenty of established characters as well. There's plenty of cars out on the circuit right now trying to get their laps in. It's a long out lap. That's the one thing about Spa, is it does take a little while for stuff to actually get underway. Luke Smith, I think, is the first man who's on a push lap around Spa, so we'll get the first indication. The longest lap on the calendar, and we've got 9 minutes to go. So again, guys that want to come out right about now, if they want to get 2 runs in, it's about now they need to come out. Yeah,
absolutely. Here we run on board now with Luke Smith as he heads in towards Les Combes and bursts through this next left 5th gear. Little trepidatious on the throttle there. You know, makes his way down through towards Brachel's corner. Yellow flag at sector 1 and 2. The track very busy. Jana Watmere out on track, as well as Jake Benham, the 2 Silver Arrows. Tell you what, no cars in the pit lane, Jack. They're all out and about.
Yeah, so they must have listened to me when I said you need to come out now if you want 2 runs. Out they come. And out 20 cars out on the track on Spa. The one thing about Spa is that you can get track position, and there's plenty of space out there to run a lap around here. So Luke Smith will have, I think he's got a clear run up until he gets to the final corner. He's got the 2 Ferraris of Barry Borman and Nicholas Longuet up in front of him, but they should be clear by the time he gets there. But he'll put the benchmark time on here in Q1. Of course, you're unfamiliar, the bottom 5 at the end of this session, the 5 slowest drivers get eliminated. Then we move to Q2, and then the next 5 get eliminated, and then we move to the top 10 shootout for pole position. Luke Smith coming through the final corner now. He'll set a benchmark time for us, of course. A winner this season and a pole sitter, Saudi Arabia. Let's see if he can get himself another win on the boards. He goes to the top on a 42.3. Yeah, 42.3 automatically usurps his teammate Patrick Sipos. Many other cars out on track as well, including Philip Preschnader, who comes into the pits. Also got Cameron Dowds, who's about to set his opening lap of the session as well. Proud day for young Dowds as he heads through the Blanchimont corner in the Williams. Mercedes powered, of course, folks, heading down now into the final chicane at bus stop. Just a heavy braking zone at this point. You want to make sure your exit is better than your start, but no, decides to come into the pit lane. So no lap from Cameron Dowds at this point, but many other cars out on track, including one young Jake Benham, Jack, who once led the championship charge. Still yet to get his first win this season. P2 being his best at Australia, but he led the championship at a point. He's consistent, and that's exactly what Mercedes need right now. Absolutely, yeah. He scored points in every single race so far, apart from last week. So would like to get himself back up there. Jake is very strong around Spa, so you would expect a good performance from him today, as Istvan Pukki goes up to the top on a 42.2 as well. Istvan looking quick these days as well, as we have Daniel Kyer slotting in between, in front of Patrick Sipos. Ishmael Fassi slotting into second there. He's driving for Alpha today. And Duncan Hoffland as well for Aston Martin, slotting into P4 right now. Duncan, of course, fresh off qualifying for Challengers. Otis Lawrence as well popping into second there Berezne also on a 42-2. I mean, it's Spa, but they're still incredibly close. Here comes Jake Benham, 42-2. What do you know? Wilson Hughes will cross the line just behind him as well. And Wilson Hughes on a 42-1. It's the first 42-1 we have seen so far today. Nicholas Longue, well, what do you know? 42.2. It's Spa, and we're still getting this. And Barry Borman up to the top on a 42-0.
Yeah, Barry Burman back to the top, this time in the colours of Ferrari, a 42.096 to his name. Super start for him. Thomas Ronhar also out on the lap. More and more cars making their way through. Alvaro Caraton goes 11th fastest as he heads across the line as well. More and more cars coming through. Patrick Shipos goes P4. We've got AlphaTauri's coming across the line as well. Of course, Chana Kinchi and Philip Prejnader being the representatives for that. I believe that is Prejnader who's just crossed the line as well. Jarno Watmir goes 7th fastest, just behind his teammate Jake Benham. And we also now have Thomas Ronhar, who's coming through bus stop chicane now. Where will he position himself at the start of qualifying? Here in Q1 at Spa, immediately to the top. The sole man in the 141s, a 141.955. 5 thousandths of a second away from the 42s. The Haas is on top.
Yep, straight away up to the top, so he should be clearly safe through into the next part of qualifying. You would imagine 41.9 for him. So now we have a couple more still to come, I think. Just having a quick look. A couple of guys didn't quite get their laps in there. By the looks of it, Chana Kinchi on an invalid lap at the moment. Prejnader on an out lap. He's beginning another run, so he'll be keeping an eye there. But we have Isfan Pookie all the way down to Ismail Fassi, are all within the same 10th of a second. So incredibly close across the board between the teammates. Jake Benham and Jarno Watmir separated by just 6 1,000ths of a second between the teammates. And Nicholas Longue is a further 1,000th behind Watmir as well. So incredibly close between all of those three guys as well. But out of these guys, Ron, our quickest, Borman third. Wilson Hughes, though, looking good there.
No, tell you what, it's looking very tight in that midfield sector, of course. Credit to the two Mercedes, literally holding hands in P7 and P8. No fan fiction, folks. Further down, Nicholas Longue in 9th, Berezne in 10th, Ismail Fassi on his return to PSGL, 11th fastest, Luke Smith 12th. The Caraton is on the bubble of elimination, 14th fastest, along with Duncan Hoffland, who's right there too. Both Aston Martin still in the mix. Donoso in his new colours as well. Because we've got to talk about Prejnader as well. We're currently seeing him out on track, Jack. Obviously looking to try and get himself off the bottom. Of course, leaving Alpine. A little bit disappointed, but he's still staying with the team. He's working more of a back-end role, similar to what Wilson did with McLaren, albeit, Wilson unfortunately didn't really have much of a choice. He was their third driver. But Prejnader now with a role at Alpine that basically consists that he'll be working, I'd assume, the setups and just the general fundamentals of the game and the strategy.
Yeah, you think so, sort of similar to Red Bull with Liam Parnell in that role as well. So yeah, I think it's probably a pressure off a little bit for Philip Prejnader for this one, so he can sort of relax and do league racing at his own leisure now as he comes across the start-finish line to finish his timed lap, and he pops up into 12th on a 42.3. Just about safe, you would say, on that 42.3. Sipos, though, fancying his chances there in P5. Borman, well, he sees that Sipos is retiring on a 42.2, so you would imagine that everyone up in front of him should be safe, and they all start to retire now. Ismail Fassi is coming out of the pit lane now as well, as they all start to peel out from onto their final runs right now. But you would imagine, by the looks of it, everyone up in the top 5 at least. Well, even Longue thinks he's safe. That's he did this last week, Jordan. He was right on the bubble.
He was very lucky.
Is this going to be another calculated move again from Nicholas Longue?
Well, I tell you what, maybe he's playing bingo or something. He just knows. But I'm not sure about Longue. It's incredible. A 42.239. We've seen how close these gaps are. Of course, the track evolution can give you, it can give you a huge opportunity to stay in, and especially on these late runs. I mean, look at the cluster of cars further down. All of them as well, experienced candidates. I mean, we were talking about Donoso last week, Jack. His incredible pace heading around Spain, and once again out on track this time. Not so much on this occasion though, 14th fastest as things stand. You would expect him obviously to go a little bit higher, but you can't write off these other individuals that can pull off the great times when they need them the most. Naturally now I would suggest that Longue might be in jeopardy of staying in qualifying. I'm not sure whether it's just he's adding a bit of fear factor into his qualifying. Maybe that unleashes his better performance, but when you've got guys like Donoso, Smith, Caraton, Hoffland, you've got a few others as well, up-and-comers, Fassi, not to mention Prejnader, Berezne. These are names you do not want to go up against, and certainly names you don't want to take lightly at this point.
Absolutely not. And Donoso, I mean, he was fighting up for a podium last week, and unfortunately he had an unfortunate disconnect. So he's going to be out for revenge today. Is Fabs in Aston Martin, of course. If you did miss the news, Fabs, of course, now a part of Aston Martin. And again, Philip Preston are not going to bother to come out for another run. He's just finished his runs. He's sort of relying on everybody else behind him not improving, which might be a little bit of a tough ask to get that one as he comes up through along the Kemmel Straight. It's a big uphill drag up towards the end of this straight as well. Jake Benham, he's going to retire as well. Opmir's also obviously not going to make it out on track either. So there's plenty to keep your eyes on here, really, as to who is going to make it through. And it's incredibly close across the board here. Everyone's sort of beginning laps right now. So I think it is going to be Fabrizio who is going to be the first man to set times for us. He's about 400ths of a second up at the moment. So that would put him just about in Luke Smith territory. But you would imagine he's got a lot more time in this middle sector. But again, around Spa, super easy to invalidate your time.
Yeah, it is. Tell you what, there's plenty of corners around this circuit of Spa that can offer up opportunities to lose time, but equally there's plenty of chances to gain it as well. Donoso heading through the double right-hander of Campus and Stavolo very shortly around Corbeil Paul Frere as well, and heading in towards Blanchimont. To tell you what, he is finding a little bit of time, you know. He's looking quick, Donoso, the Chilean, who has now decided to take or run roost at Aston Martin. Been with a few teams in his F1 esports career, now making his way down through towards the bus stop chicane. Was actually part of obviously the race clutch team as well, when of course they were part of Alpine, as now we're seeing Donoso across the line. And is that going to be enough?
Hello.
Oh, wow, I tell you what, a 41.948 for Fabrizio Donoso. Now, if I'm Nicholas Longue, Jack Canan, I'm panicking right now.
Absolutely. Luke Smith improved to P3 as well, so that's a good job from him. And next up, I think, by the looks of it, will be one of the Alfa Romeos. That's Ishmael Fassi into P5. Daniel Kyer is next to cross line in his debut. Crosses over, is going to miss out on Q2 by just a couple of hundreds there. Another one improving, Caraton popping up into P8. Cameron Dowds then coming through the last corner. Hoffman moves up to P11. Opmir's on the button, not too far off here. Dowds across the line is going to miss out on a Q2 appearance. And Shannon Kinchy improves to third. Berezne at the moment is in the drop zone. He could not knock Longue out here if he's not careful. Here comes Berezne to knock out Nicholas Longue in this next part of qualifying. There it is. Longue's miscalculated it this time. Berezne goes through. Longue goes out in Q1. And you have to say, he should have gone for that second one, but you got to breathe as well. Giuliano Opmir by 1,000th of a second has made it through as well.
That's exceptional from Fabrizio Donoso, finding his mojo here in Q1 and PSGL. What a moment indeed, the Chilean. We said it last week, his raw ability, of course, when it came to qualifying last week. I did tip him to do well at Spain. Unfortunately, it didn't come off for him. Remember, he was disconnected from the session, but he's taken top spot here in Q1. Thomas Ronhar in second, Istvan Pukki in third. Haas currently sit second and third. Chanakinchi fourth as well. Some really good performances from some of the young talents coming through as well, looking to try and get position in F1 esports. We lose Nicholas Longue after that miscalculation, should we say, in terms of the retirement. Harvey Cowan as well. We lose Prejneda, Daniel Koya, as well as Cameron Dowds on debut. But I tell you what an incredible start to qualifying. What an incredible start to this Spanish Grand Prix as well here at PSGL, folks. A mammoth clutch performance in Q1 is what has given Fabrizio Donoso P1 at the end of that session. You've got to ask the question, Jack. Where's all this come from? Where has Donoso come from?
You have to wonder. I think that switch of teams has obviously just revitalized him into this next part. Obviously taking it for fun now, but you know, it's a good sign for Fabrizio. You know, he's been at the top since the very first season of F1 esports, and now it's good signs for the future. But massive sigh of relief, I think, at Mercedes right there. Jake Benham P14, Jarno Opmeer P15, and they made it in by about 1,000th and about 6,000ths for Jake Benham. So lucky enough that they managed to just nip in front of Longue. They could have been facing a 16th place start on the grid today, as Jake Benham did last week. Now the problem for Barry Borman is he had the support of his teammate last week, but now he's not going to have that.
No, big change-up here for Ferrari. Obviously now Barry Burman slightly exposed. Obviously, he needs to get through to Q3 first. I mean, he might be close to longer than he thinks at the end of this session. If he finishes at the bottom, he will be joined at the hip with him. But all the cars now not wasting any time, heading straight out on track. By the looks of it, the man leading that charge is Ismail Fassi, and he was a man who dazzled at Singapore, pulled off what was a tremendous move. This was going back at the it was a race event that we had, obviously, Fassi being part of it, and was able to actually put a real notch on his lapel and stand out in what has to be incredible circumstances. Fassi was one of the names that we have picked out to be a great talent for the future, alongside the likes of Will Lewis, who we've seen in the early points of this season, who was just actually, we can talk about Will Lewis as well, Jack Cannan, securing a contract at Williams as well. Obviously not Fassi, I'm talking about Will Lewis.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Will Lewis getting signed up to Williams Racing at the esports team, of course, which is fantastic for him. And now, of course, I would imagine going to be parts of that at least development or F1 esports lineup. Again, maybe perhaps in the third driver role. But interesting to see, of course, Will Lewis moving across. He's been really, really strong at the end of this game cycle, and excited to see how he gets on there in that new role. And, well, as we mentioned, Ismail Fassi, he was one of the proponents of keeping Singapore, because we all remember his overtake of the year just about a month ago with a double overtake at Singapore before the tunnel on two cars, which is incredible. So, but Ishmael, of course, has had to accept driving at Spa today, but gets himself through into Q2 and see if he can put on a good performance for Alfa Romeo today as well. So it'll be interesting to see how he gets on. But really now, it's hard to predict who's going to go out here in Q2, because I mean all of the names here incredibly strong, but you couldn't pick a couple there who could possibly knock themselves out as well. Just a quick one as well, a man that we just haven't mentioned at all and has been slowly on the improvement was P6 and then P5, Otis Lawrence. I mean, the battle he had with Jarno last week was phenomenal, and P5, his first top 5, I mean, he's slowly creeping up there.
Yeah, and let's not forget his battle with Nicolas Longuet as well. I mean, that was incredible, folks. I mean, heading through the middle sector, it lasted right through from the ending of the first sector right through into sector 3. It was absolutely fantastic. And he actually held position as well. It was a superior bit of defending there from Otis Lawrence. And you know what? He returns today. He's in Q2. There's a good level of consistency showing from this young man from Wales. I like it. I think he's a great raw talent, 14 years of age. Plenty of time, obviously, to build on that talent for a future career. Ismail Fassi, incidentally, folks, invalidating his lap currently as well. It's currently marked as red on our track map, so more and more cars making their way around. Of course, Thomas Ronha is going to be the next man to set a valid lap. Has incidentally gone purple in that second sector, as you'd expect at this early stage, heading through Blanchimont now. But incredible, it has to say. Otis Lawrence, a shining light for the future, Jack Cannan. There's going to be teams queuing up to sign this young man.
Yeah, the thing is, they have to wait about 2 years or a year and a half or so before they can actually sign him up.
I mean, it can all change by the time the next game comes out or something. But still, at the same time, we know what the certain handling models have. Certainly, an effect they have on certain drivers. Obviously, Jarno Opmeer, I would say, was more dominant on a previous game. We just Otis Lawrence now usurp Thomas Ronha to the top time, 42.799 for the young man. But he has absolutely, killer instincts about him, even against a grid of this level. It is absolutely incredible to see.
Yeah, I think we mentioned it last week when he was battling with Longuet. It was like he could have backed out and decided to just let them through, but no, decides to fight it out, and I mean, great wheel-to-wheel action as well between the two of them. So, yeah, it's great to see, and Otis has got time to develop. That's the thing. I mean, he's got a year and a bit or so to really settle in, and I guarantee you every team is going to be watching to see if they can get their hands on Otis Lawrence, because it'll be a hell of a signing. But again, handling models change, so you never know. You could have one driver's at the top 1 year and then down the back another. So we'll have to wait and see how the next couple of games, how they develop in their handling model in the next while or so. But those runs, of course, 42.7 for Jake Benham. Those are on used tyres, as you would expect, and they, of course, using that to just save an extra set for either for Q3 or to give themselves another run in Q2 to get themselves through into Q3. So a couple of drivers now coming out on new tyres. to try and get themselves through. But it's anyone's game, really.
It is. Jake Benham, the all-star, to the top right now, 142.787. Currently clear of Otis Lawrence. Managed to get ahead of that Red Bull. More and more cars venturing out now already. Duncan Hoffland, who is back out on track for Aston Martin, partnering Fabrizio Donoso today. He's been part of the team now for quite a period of time. Was with them last year as a development driver, working on the behind-the-scenes planning when it came to F1 esports races. And now I'd imagine he'll put himself right up front and centre for a main seat. But we'll have to wait and see. Naturally has been in contention for championships in the past as well. How about that mega title fight between him and Wilson Hughes for the PlayStation title back in season 27, the same season as when we went racing for the first time in the PC Championship. It was brilliant to see, and Duncan Hoffland unfortunately did not come out on top on that occasion. It would be Wilson Hughes, but it was an absolutely thrilling encounter when those two came together. Duncan Hoffland now beginning his fast lap. Another young talent, Jack, that sort of goes unspoken of in many ways, but still nonetheless you can't underwrite his achievements. Has always been competitive, and you've got to give him a hat tip for being in Q2 today.
Absolutely, yeah, and of course he's back on the grid this evening. Of course, was focusing on getting himself into challengers, which he has succeeded in doing so. So we'll be seeing him, or you'll be seeing him, George, on the grid in F1 challengers, which is going to be exciting because, well, with challengers, I suppose I don't none of the grid are going to be any surprise to anybody because they've probably raced here before, which is brilliant. So it'd be great to see who gets through there. Of course, Hoffland is already part of the Aston Martin F1 esports lineup at the moment, so I suppose the team will be watching the Challengers the Challengers series with interest to see how he performs, and maybe that could decide full-time or part-time drive.
It could well do, and everything makes a difference. But even PSGL, Jack, even WOR, any league nowadays that features the top drivers, these teams are looking at it. They're all observing. And I tell you what, if these drivers can pull out something out the bag, obviously it puts them up front and centre for the possibility of a seat in their team in the future. Hence why league racing is so important. Duncan Hoffland now making his way through the latter part of this lap. This will be his time lap as well. Heads down in towards the bus stop chicane, braking into it. The very heavy braking zone here. Exit needs to be just as good as the entrance as Duncan Hoffland comes across the line now. Where's he going to position himself? Is it going to be competitive? It certainly will be. A 42.234, and that is over half a second clear of Jake Benham, Jack Canan.
Yeah, I think it's going to be still a little bit off for Duncan Hoffland. I think that could be right on the cusp of sort of P12, P11 territory at the moment. Of course, remember the fastest time in Q1, we were already in the 41s. So we have to keep that in mind when we look at those times. And maybe Duncan he still should have time to come back in and do another run again. There's Borman, 41.80. There it is. That's what we're looking for from him there. As Ishmael Fassi pops in a 41.946 as well. The quick times are coming in now. Jake Benham, he's about to finish his outlap there just on that one. Crossing the line next will be, I believe, Otis Lawrence up to the line. He's not quite on a push lap yet though. Chanakinchi is going to be coming up to the line now in just a few seconds time. Crossing the line comes the Turk and goes into P4 on a 42.24. Just in behind him is Van Pookie crossing the line now, goes to third, 42.0 for him on his initial run. Wilson Hughes then on his first run, third place for him. Beresne crossing the line now, fourth on a 41.9, and Jarno then, what's he got in the bag, crossing the line 41.9 as well. So really quick times across the board, but there it is. Barry Bormand, tell you what, that's an impressive lap.
Yeah, fourth fastest going to Danny Beresne, but Barry Burmand able to top them all. A 41.803. That's well clear of Ishmael Fassi as well. Obviously, the earlier times are being dwarfed as we're now seeing it, folks. Many more cars making their way through as we now see Duncan Hoffland on his cool-down lap. Many other cars still out and about looking to set their laps, though, including this man, Patrick Sheepos, who has invalidated his run as well. More cars looking to try and make their way through as well, including his teammate Luke Smith, who is heading around Blanchimont corner now. Will obviously be looking to try and improve from 13th. Eventually he will do. That rear light, though, flashing on the Alpine as it makes its way in towards the final sector. We've got a Haas coming through as well as we see Luke Smith coming into play. Thomas Ronhahn now about to cross the line himself as he heads towards it. This will be an interesting time as well. Top time, 141.746 here in Q2. And that will surely be competitive and could well book his place in the Q3, Jack Canan.
Yeah, just 600ths clear of Barry Borman. They're very, very close up the top end, but yeah, Ronar up to the top once again. That should be good enough to get himself through into Q3. But Borman close behind him, 600ths of a second is the gap at the moment. Ishmael Fassi about a 10th back there as they've got Ishmael Fassi, Wilson Hughes, Berezne. I've only just noticed Berezne and Otmir are on the same time in P5 and P6 around a 1:41 lap, which is incredible. Great stuff from those two guys. It's Van Pookie in P7, so the cutoff at the moment is a 42.24. So is quite close. Caraton has not set a representative time yet. You would imagine a 42.7. Neither is Benham, neither is Smith. Donoso hasn't either, and neither is Patrick Seafoss. So this is going to be quite tight going into Q3, I think.
Yeah, I think so, Jack. I think we're getting now to the nitty gritty now of qualifying. Otis Lawrence is still making his way around the track. We've seen validated at this point as well. Thomas Ronhaar, though, can he be stopped? To 141.746 makes him clear of the rest. Barry Burman's time, we all saw that one, that representative lap that broke the scale of where all the other drivers were positioned. Ishmael Fassi very quickly joined in. Fassi obviously feels content, Jack, retiring on a 141 and happy with everything. Obviously other cars still waiting in the pit lane. We're now seeing them leave now, including Fabrizio Donoso. Tell you what, last gasp now. Sheepos and Donoso. Would you say they're under pressure, Jack, given the fact that they're leaving it late?
You would. I mean, if it was me, yes. But also, I'm not an F1 esports driver. So, I mean, these guys thrive under the pressure. So I don't think so. I think Fabs should have enough in the tank to get himself through. And Sheepos, you know, he's had pole before this season. Took pole in Brazil. Lost out, of course, to Ronar after, well, he led most of the race, then unfortunately picked up a penalty and then lost the lead with about 2 laps to go, did Patrick Seafoss. So he's got it in the tank for sure. So he's definitely not one to count out. Hasn't quite been able to convert the poles into a victory either. Luke Smith, you would imagine as well. Also, pole sitter has converted to a win already this season in Saudi Arabia after a very hard fight with the guys behind. But let's see who's going to get themselves through. With Ronar, Borman, Fassi, they feel that they're safe. Wilson Hughes doesn't feel that he's safe. He's P4, and he's only 0.004 of a second behind Ishmael Fassi on the time. So that's the level we're talking here for these guys to come out and do a second run on those tyres. But the top 3 will have an extra set to go in Q3. Yeah,
but they got over like 11. You can see there are 11 drivers in there behind that are looking to try and usurp Wilson Hughes, and he knows that the mere differences are fragmented. You can just see it. Just look at it. Mere thousandths is all that separates him and Fassi, and yet he's still concerned. Fabrizio Donoso heading through now the final corners here on this opening out lap. Will then eventually tackle the corner of La Source as he now begins his hot lap here at Spa-Francorchamps. Makes his way down towards the hairpin bend now. Again, just want to sweep the corner through this next right-hander, of course, then just graze the sausage curb on the left-hand side. Of course, a gravel trap has been introduced to that La Source corner now as well, as Donoso makes his way through Eau Rouge and Radion. Aston Martin now will send it through the Kemmel Straight. Very, very steep section of the circuit as well, near enough upwards. You can actually see it if you stand on it like I did last year. You can just see how it just, Les Combes just disappears into the distance as we now see Donoso tackling these curbs as well. Heading through now towards Malmedy. Then dipping down into Brachel's corner. I mean, what this would mean to Donoso if he was able to grab a pole position at Spa, of course. Needs to try and get through to Q3 first of all. But from what we saw in Q1, Jack, it's not impossible.
No, absolutely not. He had a bit of a loose moment there, Donoso coming through no name. Just, again, the rear end just stepping out on him a little bit. Might have cost him maybe even half a tenth or a tenth or so, but didn't quite get the sort of turn-in that he would have wanted going into there. Had to sort of catch the rear end as he comes through Sector 2 now. We're keeping an eye on how his delta is. Well, he's not going to have one, but as he comes through the next part of the corner, it is going to show purple, but of course that is relative to what the last time he did in this section, which he hasn't set one. So Donoso now to get himself through into Q3. Had a good run last time out when we went racing at Spain, but unfortunately disconnected towards the end of the race, but now wants to make amends for that as he comes through into the final 2 corners, into the chicane at the bus stop, gets on the power, heads up towards the line now for Fabrizio Donoso to get through into Q3. He does go to the top of that. Donoso's on fire today. Tell you what, this is good stuff. Sipos is invalidated, so he's out. That's a big loss for them at Alpine, so that is not what they wanted to see. Here comes Jake Benham now to get himself through into Q3 then in his Mercedes. He needs to recoup the points loss from last week. Here comes Benham now across the line, 4th place for now. Will that be enough? Let's wait and see. Next up across the line is Luke Smith. Does he get through? He does. P4 for him in his car. Chana Kinchi crossing the line is invalidated. He won't make his way through. Berezne doesn't need to improve. He does, but he invalidated in the final corner. So the last car that maybe could get themselves through, the last 2 cars that could see themselves through are Duncan Hoffman and Carroton. Here comes Carroton. Can he get through in his Williams car? He does indeed. Next up then is Van Pookie's in 11th. He improves to 7th, and now Opmeer is currently in the drop zone. P11 needs an improvement here. Does Jarno Opmeer? Goes a bit deep into the chicane though. Needs a big. He gets a bit oversteer coming out of the final corner, and that's not enough. So Opmeer P11. That is going to knock him out of Q2 with that mistake in the final corner. P11 for the man who's P2 in the championship. That is not what he needed. Wilson Hughes will like to have seen that. He makes it through by the skin of his teeth there, but big shocker there. Opmeer out, and as well Otis Lawrence, Patrick Sipos also making their way out in Q2, but Donoso 2 from 2.
I tell you what, he's looking sharp, Jack, and I know I alluded to him last week. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to do it into the race, albeit due to a technical problem. But to take P1 again in Q2 is a major statement, not to mention surpassing Thomas Ronha by near enough 300ths of a second. Absolutely incredible gap between the pair of them. And I tell you what, it may be fragments, but in Formula One, it's quite extravagant. I mean, just look at that. Both Ronha and Donoso sharing that 700ths or that 7/10 of a second positioning in the 41s. Incredible stuff. The Chilean showing that he is far from done. P1 here in Q2, and he'll head through into Q3. Thomas Ronha 2nd, Barry Burman in 3rd, Danny Berejne 4th, Alvaro Carreton in 5th as well. Brett Koch, I heard his cheer from here. Luke Smith in 6th, Istvan Pukki 7th, Jake Benham 8th, Ishmael Fassi 9th. Wilson Hughes takes the final top 10 spot. He was right to come out, even though he did not improve. We lost Jarno Opmeer, Otis Lawrence, that's a shocker too, Duncan Hoffland, Chana Kinchi, and Patrick Sipos. All of those drivers there, the bottom 5, not going through to Q3. But nevertheless, Jack, I suppose what we really need to talk about is Donoso. I tell you what, can we see him finally land the pole position and potentially then get a race win under his belt?
It's not impossible, is it? He's only had 1 race win in PSGL, and that was back in a very controversial race, of course, in Austria a couple of seasons ago when Danny Moreno and Jarno Opmeer came to blows and the headset went flying. It was sort of overshadowed a little bit. We
Slightly.
Actually forgot that Donoso won because of that. But yeah, that was the last time we had that. So Donoso, the last time he took a race win was back then. So again, it's not out of the question. But of course, he did take an extra run to do that. So I think has 1 less set of tyres to do that. Ishmael Fassi was right to retire though. He made it through and has an extra set of tyres to fight as well as Barry Borman. This is going to be a close fight for pole position, and I mean we've got some really great names getting in there. But again, I mention he's constantly in there. His pace is really good. It is Van Pukki. He showed that in Saudi Arabia and gets through to Q3 for another week.
Yeah, he does, and great to see him there as well. Obviously, alongside that of Thomas Ronha, the 2 of them together. So Haas currently occupying both cars in Q3. Sorry, as we're now just waiting for the cars to go out again. We're going to move across now, folks, back to Spa, ready for when we go into qualifying action again. This time for Q3. And I tell you what, this is the time, guys, where we want to get your response. Who is going to take pole position here at Spa-Francorchamps? Let us know in the live chat, if you please. Jack and I'm going to throw it to you. What's your prediction?
My prediction, this is a tricky one today. I was almost right last week, but unfortunately, he hasn't made it through this week. Ooh, I think I'm gonna go Barry Borman this week for pole. I think.
Well, I tell you what, I'm going to stick with Fabrizio Donoso. I think he can do it for me this week. I tell you what, his performance was scintillating when we went racing in Spain last time out. I did back him for the race win last week, but did not happen. obviously due to some technical issues, but I think he can have another go this time, and maybe pole be on the cards, especially given the fact that he's been on red-hot form already in Q1 and Q2. We want to hear from you as well, folks. I'm seeing in my live chat now, Fire Vixie has gone for Fabrizio. We got Pierre Paffin going for Thomas. We have got Marcel Pole. He's not here, unfortunately, Yannick. We've also got others, including Barry says Abhinav Saini, as well as ML saying Barry. Thomas gets pole, says Lars Leonez. And we're seeing, I'd love to see a Danny pole, to be fair, says Timon as well. Guys, get your predictions in the chat as well. Evan Dalton, I can see Istvan Pookie, as well as Jess Games saying Fassi as your pole prediction. Alejandro Correa going for Caraton. And I tell you what, more and more coming through. Liam as well saying Danny as well. So quite a spread, probably quite a decent spread of names right there. Quite interesting to note as well, Jack. Jake Benham out qualifying his teammate. He has out-surpassed his teammate Jarno Wotmere.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just Jarno just extending his braking a little bit too much into the final corner, compromised his exit, and you would have thought he might have just got himself through with that lap, but now has to start from a P11 position. So maybe he can try something different on strategy this time, which would be interesting. We don't often see people try something different on strategy, especially on this game, but let's see if he does. He did obviously back off towards the line, so obviously realised, well, I'm not going to get myself through, I may as well start P11, so we'll see how he gets on from there. But yeah, Jake Benham, of course, he is, I think, fourth in the championship, 40 points to his name, 3 points off the back of his championship, of his teammate, of course. He's actually in the middle of racing Thomas Ronnar down the Kemmel Straight at the moment, which for track position through there, but does manage to win that exchange. So just looking here, the first lap, I think, well, it's underway at the moment. Danny Berezne is out on his timed lap at the moment in his Alfa Romeo, getting through into the next part of qualifying, and he's been quietly going about his business into Q3 once again. He's been very unlucky in the past few races. Is this the race where luck goes Berezne's way?
Well, he has taken a podium this season. He took it at the USA, obviously, when Jarno Wotmere would make that dazzling series of overtakes. Berezne also performing well at the United States and managing to scoop up third, his first podium this season. Currently his only podium this season, but he has scored points on 3 separate occasions, as well as Australia and Saudi Arabia. As we know, see Berezne make his way in towards the bus stop chicane now in the Alfa Romeo Sauber, heading up towards the line. Where's Berezne going to park his car? Certainly in terms of lap time. He sets a 142.501, Jack. We've seen 141s. I think we can expect slightly better than that.
Yeah, used tyre run for Danny Berezne by the looks of it there. Just get the Delta on the board. A couple more still to come across the line. Borman beginning his run right now. Jake Benham is also about to do that, as well as is Thomas Ronnar. So we'll wait for those guys to finish their runs. Just having a look to see who's on the close to an end of a time lap. It is going to be Ishmael Fassi, who is the next man. He's got, of course, an extra set because he retired early in Q2. He's got an extra set of tyres to work with. So I would expect this to be a push run for Ishmael Fassi, if anything else. Let's see how he gets on his way down towards Blanchimont on his time lap. 6 minutes and 50 seconds on the clock for Ishmael Fassi. He's got his teammate Danny Berezne up the top at the moment. That will be on a set of used soft tyres. Let's see if Ishmael Fassi can challenge, get himself even in the top 5. Maybe would be a great result for the young Spaniard. Comes through the final corner now, onto the power for Ishmael Fassi. Where is this going to plonk him now? Goes up to 41.892, a good first effort, and that of course sets a banker for when he needs to go again. Denoxo has invalidated that run, so he will not get the benefit of knowing that. I think it was a used tyre run anyway. 42.9 for him as well. Caraton also invalid by the looks of it. I think Luke Smith though will be the next man to cross the finish line to get a banker lap on the board for Alpine. Comes to the final corner. He's had 1 pole to his name already. This will be used tyres on his car, 43.1. So the guys are slowly winding themselves up for these very, very quick final runs.
Yeah, Wilson Hughes also making his way through the latter sector, about to cross the line himself now. As he does so, sends himself to the top. Beats Ishmael Fassi's time, a 141.834. So he'll hold on to that place. But
Oh,
Barry
my word.
Burman there with a mighty 141.537. Now that is legitimate. Jake Benham also about to cross the line. Can he join Barry up at the top, or can he beat him perhaps? Crosses the line, not quite. Not able to sustain a valid lap time. More and more cars making their way through. In fact, I believe Jake Benham is going on a fast run right now as we're seeing the cars come through. But Barry Burman, a mighty lap, 141.537. Incredible.
Oh, we've got a battle for pole, haven't we? This is close. This is 400ths of a second. What a lap from Barry Burman, 41.537, and that is a marker to throw down immediately. Absolutely brilliant from Barry Burman up at the top end. But now he's going to take a slow lap, come back in. He has an extra set to go again if he so wishes to do so, but it is close for pole position up at the top end. Now Jake Benham is on his push run at the moment, as is Alvaro Carreton. By the looks of it at the moment, might stick with Carreton to see where he's going to stick his Williams car. No, he's actually not on a push time. Just having a look at those sector times, he's not on a push time, so he'll be coming into the pit lane. And by the looks of it, Jake Benham's lap looking a little bit steady at the moment. Just going to judge it off the sector 2 split here just a few moments time. I think he is going to be coming into the pit lane at the end of this lap. Actually, by the looks of it, this looks like a steady lap from Jake Benham, so this will not challenge up at the front end. But 41.537 for Bormand, 41.57 for Thomas Ronnar, and Wilson Hughes only a tenth, well, he's a good bit off at the moment, 0.3 of a second, but 41.8, if that's on used tyres from Wilson Hughes, I tell you what, he's going to be in for a challenge for pole here. Yeah,
and just look at the gaps as well, all of them in the top 4 within the same 141, but there's only 2 cars up at the top end within the same tenth of a second, and that is, of course, Burman and Ronnar. The 2 fights, well, certainly the battle that we have been seeing in the early part of this season, but you can also throw Jarno Watmere into that mix as well, as all the cars make their way into the pit lane. Of course, many of them already in their pit boxes. We're going to be waiting now for them to go out for their one final sequence of runs here at Spa-Francorchamps. Hope you chaps in the live chat, ladies, gentlemen, whoever you are in the world, it's a pleasure to have you all here for the Belgian Grand Prix. If you haven't done so already, please make sure that you land a subscribe as well as leave a like to the PSGL YouTube channel. And don't forget as well, you can check us out on Twitter and also Instagram as well at Premier Sim GL. Stay up to date with everything going on with the leagues. I tell you what, it's a tremendous time to be here at Spa. A championship fight is on the cards. Ron Haar, of course, leading that championship. Otmir in second. Burman in third in that championship too. I tell you what, we're going to be in for one hellacious Belgian Grand Prix. Now, if I'm not mistaken, Jack, going back to Jarno Watmere, obviously not getting out of Q2, he's done this before, isn't he? He's managed to certainly undo situations where he has fallen behind, and I believe he has done the same at Spa. P11 is no way near the end of the world.
No, it isn't. I mean, we all remember he came from 15th to take a victory earlier this season, and we don't know the weather yet for the race, which is... I mean, it could throw us an absolute curveball and decide to go full wet at the start, and then we never know. It could be interesting then. But yes, he has done this before. P11, absolutely not out of the question. But you'd have to imagine if he is going to start P11, he's going to have to just try something completely outlandish and see if it works. He's got a 21-point deficit to Ronnar in the championship, so does need something to happen up front to gain those points back. Of course, the point system works different here in PSGL, different point system, 16 points for a win, 12 for second and 10 for third. We do also get that extra point for fastest lap as well. So Ronnar, of course, more than a race distance clear at the moment, but we've seen before Barry Borman came in here a couple of seasons ago with a big championship lead and left with that cut down absolutely massively after a safety car infringement. So nothing's out of the question, but Danny Berezne gets underway for the final runs of Q3.
He certainly does. In towards La Source. Let's run on board with a lap with Danny Berezne as he now powers his way out of La Source and now hurtles up towards Eau Rouge and Radion as well. Very, very steep this part of the circuit, as I referred to earlier on. Tackles the curbs, near enough flat out here at this point in the circuit. Now heading through this next little slight right, heading up through the Camel Straight now, leading through towards turn 5 and turn 6 at Les Combes. Hurtles inwards, just brakes at the 50, just grazes the throttle now as he ventures through this next left. Malmedy comes up next, of course, at turn 7. A little shaky though, Berezne, as he makes his way down through towards turn 8, and it's invalidated his lap. just got a little close over the line, exiting through Malmedy.
Yeah, got too loose, took too much curb, and that was it. So Berezne, he's got a hope. Well, he's going to, of course, didn't get a representative time in there, 42.5. That is not going to be anywhere near good enough to stay where he is at the moment, so that is a shame. But Danny Berezne lost the rear end coming through there, and that is going to be it for him. So it will be, I think, the next car is, excuse me, Wilson Hughes, coming up towards the end of the Kemmel Straight into the end. He's up 0.06 of a second. He's on brand new soft tyres as well, so we'll be able to see how he gets on through these final couple of sectors. Of course, he's P3 at the moment, 41.8. We know he's got more, perhaps a little bit more in the tank. Having a look just behind, of course, Donoso following him in the back. So this will be an interesting shootout for pole, but I think it's quite even. Tell you what, it is very even between Wilson Hughes and Donoso through that first sector, so keeping a close eye on the McLaren of Wilson Hughes as he comes into the next chicane in the second sector. We'll get a good indication how close he's going to be when he enters into this when he crosses this sector time delta now. Crossing line 2/10 up, George. See, this could be a very good lap. He strings a good last sector together. Wilson Hughes is in with a shot here.
I tell you what, could be a mammoth lap time, finding nearly 2.5 tenths in that middle sector. Coming through now, Blanchimont here, the Scot, Wilson Hughes, who was the essentially reserve driver for McLaren Shadow last season, bidding for a top seat in the incoming season when we go racing on F123. Up towards the line now, Wilson Hughes. Where's he going to position himself? Second fastest, just behind Barry Burman. We got Fabrizio Donoso. He comes across the line shortly as well. Aston Martin colours. Could it be P1? He can't. P4 is where he stays. More and more cars coming through. Fassi coming up towards the line. He beats Donoso, goes fourth fastest at this point as well. More and more cars. Luke Smith, he goes fourth fastest. Ronha currently coming up towards bus stop chicane now. Pookie, though, has gone fourth fastest, Jack.
Oh, Barry Borman invalidated a 41.4. This could be the end of it now. Caraton crossing the line, goes P6. Last cut across the line, as is usual. Ronar pops in a 41.460. But I tell you what, it would have been Barry Borman on pole had he not invalidated in the final corner. But Ronar, another pole position on the board. But again, Borman misses out with that invalidation. Ronar on top once again. Borman on the front row. I can tell you, Borman's time was a 41.406, but the invalidation cost him out. Wilson Hughes, unbelievable performance, P3. Jake Benham on the second row. Istvan Pukki, P5 in this one. Smith, Caraton, Fassi, Donoso down in P9, and Berezne in P10 with that invalidation. But Borman will be absolutely kicking himself with that one. He had it in the bag and threw it away in the final corner.
Yeah, big shame. Burman could have very likely taken pole position heading into the start of the race. Unfortunately, it all fell apart for him. Just didn't pay off, folks. Thomas Ronha is your pole sitter for this race coming up very shortly. Top three all within the same 10th of a second. We're going to take a quick break, folks, before we go racing, of course, in this Belgian Grand Prix. Keep it with us. Welcome back, folks, and we're just about to go racing, obviously, for this upcoming Belgian race. And I tell you what, it won't be long before we get started. Jack Canan, I'm just going to quickly ask for your prediction before we start.
Going to go with the Barry Borman win here, I think.
Barry Burman win. I want to hear from you in the live chat as well, folks. The timer is ticking down. We will be going racing very, very shortly. Let us know who is taking the victory in this Belgian race here at PSGL. Any moment now, we will be going racing, folks. Keep it with us. It's going to be sensational. Please make sure you leave a like and also subscribe to the PSGL channel, not to mention the socials as well, as we're now waiting the cars to hit the grid for the start of this Belgian Grand Prix. Here we go. First light, second light, third light, fourth light, and the fifth light. and it's pedal to the metal, and it is go, 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 go. Thomas Ronhar getting away well. That's the inside line in towards La Source. Outside for Barry Burman, who tries to hang him around the outside. Wilson Hughes getting a lovely run as well as they head through. 3 wide further back. East Van Pookie. Also Caraton now, who's got a nose in front. Heading up Eau Rouge in Radion. Caraton up into 5th place. But here comes East Van Pookie, who's got the inside line with a train of cars. Looking to get themselves into the mix. Barry Burman going for the lead against Thomas Ronhar. Through towards they come. Ronhar shuts the door as Burman stays in P2.
Absolutely, yeah. Jake Benham's got on an alternate strategy. He's on mediums compared to everyone else on those tyres. Caraton is on mediums as well as they come through down towards into Brussels. Great stuff from Ronhar. Got the start that he needed to do. Barry Burman tried to go around the outside into the end of the Kemmel Straight, but wasn't able to do it. Benham now needs to make these medium tyres work early on. Already a penalty for Duncan Hofflin down in P15, but again, it's a steady start from everybody. Longuet on mediums, making moves up the inside through Pouon on Otis Lawrence. That was brave stuff from Longuet. Makes his way through. He needs to make these work because Sipos following him through as well. We have got a split in strategies. This is what we wanted to see from these guys. Sipos side by side with Lawrence going into these last few corners now. Goes round the outside. Moves into P13 as they make their way up through the order now. Longuet on the attack still on Otmir now. Otmir going to move out of the way. No real fight there. We're keeping an eye. Here comes Borman on the outside through Blanchimont. Keeps his footing on the outside and Benham looking for space there. Ronhar around the outside of the final corner. This is getting spicy already here in Spa. Ronhar goes deep, gets a little nudge. Does Barry coming through the final corner there? They cross the line now. Borman wants to lead this race. Here comes Benham, 3 wide into the first corner. Jake Benham on the mediums. Can he get it stopped? Not quite. Moves to second, but he has got the grip on the mediums. Side by side up towards Eau Rouge with Jake Benham versus Thomas Ronhar. Benham into the lead on lap number 2 with a superb diving manoeuvre into the first corner.
Super move from Jake Benham. Ronhar though not yet finished. They are currently cemented together within the same 10th. Benham now being challenged by Thomas Ronhar. Through Lacombe they go. Barry Burman also trying to march an assault, or at least try and attack the rear wing of the Haas F1 car. Ronhar says no though. Holds on to second. Benham now stretching a slight advantage out to nearly 3.5 tenths as they head through Brussels. But Benham's got to get going, Jack. He needs to make these medium tyres work.
That was brilliant. He saw the manoeuvre and he got it stopped just about enough and used those mediums to get out of the first corner and away. But I tell you what, Barry was absolutely wanted to get through there. Couldn't quite do it though, and now has to sit behind for now. Wilson Hughes keeping his nose in there in P4 at the moment. Longuet's up to P10. Remember, Longuet started down in 16th. He's up 6 places already and is challenging the rear of Danny Berezne in P9, and there's still, I think, more to come there. Donoso moving in front of Otmir as well, so Donoso trying to make up for a bit of lost time at the start of the race there. Dropped a few positions, but Otmir losing out to Donoso in that one. Here comes Longuet on the inside of Blanchimont, up the inside of Berezne. Through he goes into P9, and Caraton with a huge diving manoeuvre. Can't quite get it done on Luke Smith and has to settle behind for now, but across the line, lap number 3, fastest lap of the race for Jake Benham now. DRS enabled, hasn't been able to quite get away there, but he's looking very, very comfortable out there at the moment on those mediums.
Yeah, great start for Benham. Obviously managing to hold on to his advantage right now. Patrick Schipos and Jarno Otmir coming together as well as they head up through towards Eau Rouge and Rally. On the Alpine of Patrick Schipos, though, doing enough to keep Otmir at bay. But for how much longer as now they peel through this next sector? Of course, now Otmir on the hard tyres against the medium tyres of Schipos. So obviously if Otmir can get ahead, that will give him somewhat of an advantage when the pit stop phase rolls around. But have a look at this now, because here comes Otis Lawrence. Does have a little look in the mirrors of Jarno Otmir, but decides against making a move. But they're so tightly pushed as they now make their way through Malmedy. They still remain together. Otis Lawrence having a huge moment though out of Malmedy again, trying to find every gap possible as Cameron Dowds now moves ahead of Daniel Koya for that 16th place.
Another position gained for him as well. Jake Benham 0.8 of a second out front at the moment. Ronhar has dumped so much of his ERS to try and stay with Benham, and Benham's still got more ERS in the tank as well. So this is the good showing for Jake Benham at the moment. Ronhar's having to work hard to try and stay with him. Borman with 43% at the moment. Wilson Hughes in a good spot at the moment. Got an issue further down.
It's Benham.
It's Benham. He spun on the exit. He's dropped it by himself. Jake Benham had such a clear lead, and it's all gone immediately. Benham drops it by himself on the exit. That is now an absolute disaster, but that brings Borman back into play now. He wants to go for this at the chicane, backs off enough now. That is an absolute shocker from Jake Benham. Bins it out of the I can't remember what corner that was, into the gravel trap. He'll be kicking himself. Such a great job. And of course, second in the championship. Going to drop even further down now. Absolute disaster for him out front. It is a little bit dark now over the circuit. Few clouds rolling in, but I have to give a mention, George. Longe, 16th up to 7th already.
Yeah, he's on a mighty charge. I tell you what, it's not done yet for Ferrari. Of course, Benham now, obviously after that spin, that's going to hurt, I'm sure, but obviously definitely delivered one of the moves of the race, and here comes Barry Burman, inside line, heading up through the Kemmel Straight into Lecom. Barry Burman now leads the Belgian Grand Prix here on lap 4 of 22 in great style.
Absolutely, great move from Borman. Moves in front with the DRS, and he's in the lead where he wants to be there. He's got more ERS as well, so let's see how he makes work of this now. But Longe is all over the rear of Ishmael Fassi into No Name now, trying to continue to make his way through a big oversteer moment through No Name. He won't quite get the run there, but he also hasn't used too much of that ERS. He's been using that extra grip that he's got with those mediums at the moment. Fassi dropping a tiny bit away from the cars in front, but Longe will want to keep this momentum going. This is excellent stuff from the Frenchman. Caraton as well. Mentioned the Caraton P5 on those mediums in behind Luke Smith at the moment. So the mediums working well for Longe. Managed to get through on those tyres unscathed and made some great moves up into P7. Started 16th on the grid with a wrong decision to stay in qualifying, but now settled into a top 10 position up front. But Barry Borman leads the race then for Ferrari at the head of the field here at Spa. He needs a result, of course. 42 points to his name at the moment. 1 point behind Otmir in the championship fight at the moment. But it's all still to play for here. But absolutely, I'm shocked with Jake Benham throwing that race away after being in such a comfortable position.
Such an incredible chance for Benham to secure a huge result here today as well. Now cemented to the back of the field. It could not get much worse for him. Obviously leading the way like he did, taking the race lead the way he did. He took advantage. He utilised his pace, his natural pace, as the All-Star has, as Thomas Ronhaar again goes looking for that race lead, chasing after Barry Burman, heading up through towards Lecom. Has to stay behind that rear wing, though, as they get so close together. Caraton, though, Jack, a big quick hat tip to him. 5th place. It's not a bad showing from the Williams driver.
Absolutely not, no it isn't, but you have to say those mediums maybe not looking in great shape at the moment. Longe not able to make as much of a use as he was earlier on, but again, Caraton settling in, but he has only got about 27% ERS at the moment, so he has got a little bit more work to do. Everyone else seems to have more around him, but these guys need to stick in here. It is definitely clouding over. It's got noticeably darker.
Rain is on the way, Jack.
Rain is on the way, you would think, at the moment, so if I'm these guys and there's rain shortly in the pipeline, stay out as long as possible on these mediums, surely.
Yeah, absolutely. Rain is on the way. Credit to Bushy Ants. Thank you for letting us know. Mark has said on Ronhaar's stream that rain is incoming, folks. As now we're seeing Caraton trying to get closer to Luke Smith, heading through this latter point of this circuit. More and more cars now peeling through Blanchimont. Further back, Donoso, who's currently sat in the top 10 as well. 10th place, currently chasing after Danny Perez. Oh, we got a big move further back. There you can see Longe just searching here on Ishmael Fassi, trying to find a way through here. Obviously trying to muscle his way past, add to yet more points to the Ferrari dream for this year's championship. Burman leads though. Currently Ronhaar 5 tenths, nearly 6 tenths, is 6 tenths now in behind as well. More and more cars making their way through. Perez is closer and the rain is coming down, Jack Canam.
Oh, if I'm Jake Benham, I'm even more furious now. If he was in the lead of this race, if he was a net race lead with the rain, and unfortunately now he's all the way down to the back at P20. Longe had a huge diving manoeuvre. He attempted it on Ishmael Fassi, didn't quite get it done, but rain is falling here in Spa. Berezne and Isfan Pookie going wheel to wheel in through this part. Great stuff between the two of them. Pookie moves in front into P8 ahead of Berezne. Great stuff from them, but now inspired choice from these guys going the mediums. Here comes Longe now. He's found the gaps a little bit, and there it's coming down really hard here in Spa. DRS is already disabled, and it's going to get really tricky around here. Fassi somehow hung on there against Longue. DRS is already disabled, so they're all going to come in on the same lap. You would imagine it's going to be a case of hanging on and not spinning in these last few corners here.
Well, who's bravest? I have to tell you, later on the brakes, at your own peril, folks. Longue trying to really get past Fassi. Fassi shut at the door, heading through Jackie Ick's corner. So Longue will have to try again. Obviously, as you mentioned, John, they'll all be coming in now, no doubt, for wet tyres. There is Barry Burman. I suppose the biggest fear for them now, don't drop it on the in-lap. You can't afford to.
Yeah, absolutely. And you got to be so careful because look, it's already completely wet. It's completely wet.
Oh, here we go.
I'm sure now this is going to be very, very tight. Now you can see Sifos and Otmir. Otmir now, he sees the race like, right, this is my opportunity now. Into the last corner they come. Otis Lawrence has dropped it. He's dropped it on the way up through Blanchimont, but keeps the car in one piece by the looks of it. Beresne is throwing caution to the wind and is carrying on those hard tyres out front. Of course, he can't box because Fassi's already come in front of him, so he has to wait. Double stack at Ferrari. Longue has to wait for Borman, but it is now definitely intermediate conditions out here in Spa, and by the looks of it, it is going to be, as Ronar's come out in front of Bormant. That is a shocker. That is not what he needed, and Ronar has come out in front of Borman at the pit stops. Yeah,
Jake Benham also opting to stay out as well, as actually split Barry Burman and Thomas Ronhar as well. Very smart from Benham. Allow Barry through, given the fact that he will be the faster car. Burman has really got to get the hammer down now, does not want to leave Ronhar behind. Further back, you can see there Wilson Hughes now going past the all-star Jake Benham. Luke Smith will surely do the same as well. The car's all of a sudden being drawn out. Beresne still going around this track. Remember, he's still yet to pit. Harvey Cowan as well have been to second. Ronhar now occupying that third place on circuit, but you have to think it's a net P1 at this point, as Benham now once again falls down the field. He may as well have taken a risk given the fact that Otmir is on the correct tyre and just pit box the next lap. It really has, well, pretty much obliterated Benham's race here at this point.
Yeah, it has indeed. Barry, I think, getting held in the pits for just a tiny bit and just gave Ronar enough to come out in front. He'll be furious with that. That is nothing he could do about it. Had the race lead, now Ronar back up into the lead for now. Wilson Hughes occupying a podium place at the moment, P3 for him, as Beresne gets caught. And remember how far he was in front off the pit stops. There's no grip at all. Beresne again left out to dry with the pit stops and couldn't come in just because of that double stack. But again, would you just have come in anyway with the double stack and just lost that tiny bit of time, because now you're going to drop out of the points at this one?
Well, you'd probably be still catching the cars that remained out on the slicks. So, you know, you could have gained at least something back, but now they're going to be dead last at this point. Thomas Ronhar now taking the absolute lead of this Belgian Grand Prix. Barry Burman in second, Wilson Hughes third, and behind as well, Luke Smith, who is in fourth as well. Alvaro Caraton holding on to fifth, Ishmael Fassi further back. Now, the gaps are starting to be drawn out now, folks. Only the top four, it's at the top four, now the top two within the same second. Wilson Hughes is just broken above that. One has to wonder, of course, no DRS at this point. It won't matter too much in terms of that, but it's more about staying within the slipstream and getting closer. Beresne, no doubt in frustration, retiring from the race here at PSGL. The Belgian Grand Prix, Beresne is out.
Yeah, such a shame for him. It was a real unfortunate incident, but again, that is as the bad luck here at Spa, again striking for Danny Beresne. But I've been keeping an eye. Otmir is starting to settle in a little bit. P9 for Jarno Otmir, 80% ERS as well, and I'm sure he's in his happy place now. This is where Otmir really comes alive, is these intermediate wet conditions. I'm expecting now a big charge from Jarno Otmir up through into these next few positions. Of course, was holding around P13, I think, is already now P9 and trying to get back up to the back of Nicolas Longue, but is in a good position here. He's back in the points, and again, points are important. Longue P8, recovering now. Of course, he started P16, moved up to P8 now, so he'll be happy where he is. But one man who's definitely not going to be happy after the unfortunate pit stop, Barry Bormand, was in control, gets held in the pits, and now has to do it all again.
Yeah, it's really insufferable, and naturally, Burman hasn't won since, of course, that second race we went to Abu Dhabi. Of course, had 2 wins on the spin, has yet to win since then. Did get a podium last time at Spain. but would surely like to take top spot yet again. And currently, the way things are strung out, Thomas Ronhaar is going to be our first driver this season to go 3 in his last 3 races, which would be massive for him, considering that his first race win obviously was his first in the PSGL PC Championship, where he took victory at Brazil. And the way I'm currently looking at it, Jack, he's just careering away, already over a second clear of Barry Burman right now. This is nightmare territory for the fast Iranian.
Certainly is, and he'll be wondering what would have happened had he not been held in the pits. Of course, he's having to just. Of course, there's no DRS here, so he doesn't have the benefit of getting dragged along here. But Ronhaar still now, he's trying to go for something that hasn't been done this season, which is trying to go for 3 victories in a row here in PSGL PC to really sort of extend his stranglehold on the championship at the moment. But there's still a long way to go in this race, and we don't know the weather conditions. Is it going to clear up? Is it going to get worse? We don't know yet. So we're on lap 9 of 22, and remember how quick it got wet. It was like half a lap, and then was already DRS disabled. We could see a situation where it dries up just as quick. We just don't know yet. Spa is just like that.
It is. It's a very funny circuit. I tell you what, you've never been to a race such as a race from Spa, I tell you. But we did see a lot of amateur dramatics. We weren't racing at the USA Chat the last time the conditions were as bad as this, or maybe even a little bit worse, in fact. And that is, of course, where Jana Watmir managed to pull off the sensation, the biggest sensational league race performance we have seen, in racing itself in PSGL throughout the entirety of league racing, to take victory at Austin, Texas. Could we yet see something similar again this time? At this moment in time, it is going back to Ronhaar. Credit, though, to Barry Burman. He's broken back in, has taken 2/10 out of the gap that did consist between him and Ronhaar at the start of this lap, and he's now trying to at least get as close as he can to the rear of that Haas wing.
Yeah, he certainly does. He has got an ERS advantage as Barry Burman, so he's got to keep that in mind as well. He can sit behind, but we don't know how these conditions are going to develop at the moment. We don't know if it's going to get wetter, it's going to get drier. We're not 100% sure on that yet, so we'll wait and see if we can get any info on any of that. But it is sort of in a settled phase right now. It was chaotic at the start, and now I sort of understand why. You got those guys in the mediums, they knew it was going to rain at some point, so they wanted to be aggressive, get that track position earlier. But again, you have to be aggressive in that early phase. Longuet has done a great job of that, of course. Start P16, up to P8 now, with swapping onto those inters course. He did get held, of course, because he double stacked with Barry, so he's now fallen behind a few positions, but is firmly in the points at the moment. But again, I bring it back. Jake Benham would have been in a comfortable lead at the moment. He
would have, and the strategy would have worked so well for him. He's now at the back, though, after dropping it, heading through the double right-hander of Campos and Stavolo. And had to recover, and just went from bad to worse at that point. Leading the way, though, a tremendous effort. I'm gonna put it out there, Jack. I would say that was probably race move of the season. I would say.
Absolutely, yeah. Down the inside of Barry Burman and Thomas Ronhaar at Spa, in the inside of the first corner,
it's
and holding them off.
Definitely
down the
race
straight.
move of the season for me.
Absolutely, yeah.
Incredible effort. To take your chance and take your opportunity the way he did. I mean, he was in P3, remember, overtaking 2 cars, of course, that were the biggest names in last year's F1 Esports Championship. Obviously taking Lucas Blakely all the way, one of them being Lucas Blakely's teammate. To have the audacity to make a move such as that, of course, being 2 cars behind, is just absolutely sensational. And he made it stick as well. And, we've seen plenty of drivers try and attempt these things in the past. They don't come off. Jake Benham pulling it off in great style. And I give him that credit. He certainly doesn't deserve to be in the position he is now.
No, certainly not. And it's just one of those things, obviously pushing very hard and just extended a little bit too much, and round it went. And again, you have to credit him for the performance he did put on, nonetheless. And they're still not completely out of it. If you get a safety car here, we'll drag him at least back up to the back of the pack, where he can maybe try something. But if the rain does come off, you can expect him to just try something audacious at the end to try and even just gain a few positions here, to just gain some points. Because of course this is a big dent in his championship hopes, with no points scored and everyone around him scoring points. Got Luke Smith up in 4th, who I'm not sure is he. I think he may still be. He'll actually equal him if Luke Smith stays in P4. It'll be 40 points to Jake and 40 points for Luke, of course, and as well Barry would jump back up into second in the championship, but the gap at the top would widen out even further. So Barry, ideally gets himself in front and just start to shrink that gap. If he wants to challenge for this title, he needs to get himself in front of Ron R here.
He does, because it doesn't matter what you do if you're behind him. You need to get in front of him, because at this rate, Ron Hart, obviously currently top in the championship, he will remain top of the championship as long as he keeps winning races, and this will be his third in his last 3. Should it stay like this, the first driver to do so this season. And Barry did have his chance. Of course, we were all talking about it when he went racing at USA. Looked like he might have had a chance to do it as well, but unfortunately it didn't happen. Yellow flag in sector 3. Chanakinchi has retired from the session. Now, is that a safety car?
Safety car.
There we go.
It is a safety car.
Here we go. Safety car here, folks, on lap 12 of 22. Chanakinchi dropping it, heading into Blanchimont. What that could mean, and Otmir immediately heads into the pit lane.
Yeah, so he's obviously thinking something here. He's
Dry
gone to mediums.
Dry tyres.
He's gone on to mediums.
Dry tyres.
And a bunch of others. So it could dry up by the end of the safety car period. Well now.
Goodness
well
me.
Now.
Senses.
We've got some interest.
I'm feeling USA, Jack. I'm feeling USA. Is this the change that Jarno Otmir was waiting for? Is this the time for the great Dutchman to pounce? Let's wait and see. Lap 12 of 22. 10 laps of magic await us, folks. We will be under the safety car for the moment. He goes past the safety car. He will rejoin the grid order, not losing too many places. 2 places to be exact. Remember, he was P9. He's down into 11th. He has got the mediums. He might as well do it, Jack. You might as well at this point.
Yeah, absolutely, you should as well. That'll be, of course, his mandatory pit stop done as well to switch on to another set. Jake, of course, this will bring him back in. He's on dries now. Of course, he doesn't have a new set of mediums available, so he's had to go for the hards. And, I think he nearly went across the pit exit there, but manages to hold on. But obviously, these guys switching on to mediums because it may be dry by the end of the safety car period. So this has really thrown this race into, well, God knows what's going to happen now, because it is. The question is now, what do the guys up front do?
Yeah.
Because if they're still hearing that it's going to be still raining for another 15 minutes, what do you do? Do you respond to Jarno, or do you stay out?
Well, if you're Ron Hart right now, I think you've got to box now, haven't you? You've got to respond. You can't stay out. If you know it's drying up, I mean, I don't believe for 1 minute that Otmir is taking a punt here. I think, genuine, he wouldn't have made this decision unless he absolutely was sure that it would stop raining. Because what would he benefit? I mean, if he stayed behind and he knew it was continuing to rain, he would have stayed out. The safety car would have bunched them all together, and he would have continued and tried to move his way naturally out on track. In order to move himself up the order. But this is different. Now we're just watching the cars make their way through. Ron Hart is staying out. Interesting. Okay, now, is that the right move? I'm not sure it is, Jack. I think they should have come in.
The thing is, it is still raining. So is there anything really for them to gain by coming in right now? It's hard to know. The thing is, George, these guys have track position at the moment. And if it doesn't dry up quick enough, those guys are only going to go backwards. It's risk and reward, though, isn't it? I mean, if you stay out, you're gambling on a possibility of the rain falling off, and it just dries up. Then you're left in the lurch on intermediate tyres that won't work for you. Yeah, it is a little bit. It's strange, actually. There was a bit of a moment there as they were coming through the first corner. I think Jarno actually missed the first corner there. It's still incredibly wet out there. They're trying to catch up to the back of the pack, of course, but they're also trying not to crash while doing that, which is incredibly difficult for Jarno and Co right here. But
what about Cameron Dowd?
Yeah, Cameron Dowd is also on the mediums. Otis has had a few issues in the pits where he's been put back on inters. Pressionator's on those tyres. Daniel Kyre's switch onto a set of soft tyres, which is completely outlandish.
That is bold.
From Daniel Kyre here, but well, it's a complete unknown, really. If the safety car comes in this lap, well, it's still definitely too wet for these guys out here. It's a massive call from Jarno and all those guys down there.
Well, it's a huge call. It's a job to know at this point, folks, as to where this is going to go. It's all a question mark. None of us can read the future. We're not fortune tellers, but we've got a split grid. 10 cars should I say 11 cars on intermediate tyres. Obviously not necessarily by choice for Otis Lawrence, but the rest of them going on to slick compounds. At the end of the day, you've got to be in it to win it. At this point, Otmir and various others, including Istvan Pukki, Cameron Dowd, as well as Philip Prejnader, Daniel Koyer, not to mention Harvey Cowan, Jake Benham, all of them are deciding to change things up, go for something different. The safety car remaining out on track. Still waiting for Daniel Koyer to catch up with the rest of the grid here. He's got Harvey Cowan in behind him, as well as Jake Benham, who's trying to knife his way through the field. It looks like Jarno Otmir has caught up with Duncan Hofland in behind, so P11 now joins up with P10. Thomas Ronhaar, though, still heads out and about on the intermediate tyres. The safety car remaining out. It's a job to know, Jack. I'd say we might as well, write it on a postcard or something. I have no idea what we're going to see.
Yeah, we're going to have to go around again because Daniel Koyer has not caught up to the back yet. And in reality, George, the longer they take to close up to the safety car, it gives them more time. Now it's starting. So this is now, you can see it actually, it's starting to clear up here. Sipos coming in now to respond to those calls, and you have Jarno back in again to switch back onto the inters. So, wow, this is completely thrown out. So Jarno's gone back onto inters, and everyone else has switched on to dries. What is going on?
This is bizarre. I have not seen a race like this before. Certainly in league racing, folks, this is unique. This is not the USA. This is bizarre. Look at this. Duncan Hofland is now on a set of medium tyres. You got soft tyres for Prejnader, soft tyres for Daniel Koyer. Every single driver running a different race at this point. Obviously, I'm stumped, Jack. I mean, the one thing I can say is that Otmir will have fresh intermediate tyres. That's one thing I can say. He has got 7 laps fresher than all the others further up.
And where have we seen Jarno on fresh inters before?
Go back to USA, Jack. Let's go back to USA. Why not?
This is a completely outlandish strategy. I've never seen this before from Jarno Otmir. But the rain is easing off. But I suppose in his thinking, is there going to be enough time for it to dry up?
That's very true.
As well. And we're still waiting for Daniel Koyer and those guys to catch up to the back of the field. So if this goes round another lap, I mean...
Well, Harvey Cowan has made the same decision as well. He's jumped back onto the intermediate, so he's copied Otmir's strategy. I'm just absolutely gobsmacked as to what we're seeing right now. Istvan Pukki is still out on his mediums. Cameron Dowds is up to stay on the dries as well. Big mystery as to what the weather's going to do. This is typical.
It stopped raining.
It has stopped raining. Well,
it stopped raining.
This is sensational.
So either that's a mistake from Jarno, or it's a big brain strategy. We don't know yet, because I think we're going to have to stay out another lap, George, because Daniel those guys still haven't caught up. They still haven't caught up to the back.
Duncan Hofland's round as well. Duncan Hofland has spun it, heading through turns 15. He has spun it, heading out of campus. Incredible. I tell you what now, that's one position for Otmir nonetheless.
Safety car's going to have to stay out, surely. Because Daniel Koyer still hasn't caught up, so if that was a mistake, we're going to find out now. Safety car still stays out. So this is unprecedented. In comes Ronhaar. They're all starting now. Because those guys haven't caught up, they're still we're still under safety car conditions here. So this is outrageous what we're seeing. Jarno's staying out. All these guys in inters. We're going to go round again. Otmir is staying out, of course. Ronhaar we're going to find out what he's switching onto. He's going to switch onto mediums. I'm so confused.
Absolutely bizarre.
I'm lost.
So what happens now? Does Otmir come in and switch back to slick tyres? I mean, what are we seeing?
Can I point out something, George? Right, if it is dry, Istvan Pukki is leading and Cameron Dowds is second.
Yes, I know.
This is incredible.
Incredible. Big brain strategy for young Cameron Dowds. He is second in his first PSGL PCF1 Belgian Grand Prix. Amazing. The Williams now occupying that position. I can hear a cheer from Brett Koch seeing Williams colours in second. Otis Lawrence as well has managed to move his way up to third. Naturally, though, he's on intermediate tyres. He has got the oldest tyres of anybody out on track. Patrick Schipos is in fourth as well. He's going to be heavily reliant on it drying up, and he's going to be slow on the harder tyre. Prejnader is on softs, which don't look so silly now, to be honest, because
they don't.
While we stay out, obviously the track generation is going to continue. Longe has opted for softs, as has Koyer. Has Predator pulled off a worldie here, Jack?
He could have. He certainly could have, because, I mean, there's not exactly a lot of laps left.
This is ridiculous.
There's not a lot of laps left. And I think we're waiting for Harvey Cowan to catch up to the back, and he will. So safety car, I think, will be in this lap with Istvan Pukki leading the race. Cameron Dowds in his first ever race is second. Otis Lawrence is third, of course. He has a penalty. Sipos is on hards. Altmeier's on inters. Predator's on softs. And Duncan Hoffland, he's got a penalty. He's on mediums. But then you have Ronar, Borman, Hughes, all those guys on brand new medium tyres.
Well, I'm lost for words, Jack. This is the most bizarre league race of all time, folks. We've had what can arguably be the greatest league racing performance. Safety car is in this lap, folks. The clouds are looking like they're getting brighter. The rain has stopped, as far as I can see. Pukki, it is dripping down a bit slightly. It is dry. It does look dry now. The medium tyre runners of Istvan Pukki on to win his very first PCF1 race. Cameron Dowds could be in the market for a PCF1 win. Otis Lawrence, intermediate tyres. He's going to be under a lot of strain here from Patrick Schipos. Predator on the softs. You've then got a string of cars further down. Duncan Hoffland, Thomas Ronhaar, Barry Burman, Wilson Hughes, Luke Smith, Alvaro Caraton, Ishmael Fassi and Fabrizio Donoso are on medium tyres. Longue Koya, as well as cars further back. Donoso, I think, has dropped it himself. He's binned it. Donoso has lost it in Sector 3, and for the second time we're going to put pedal to the metal here in the Belgian Grand Prix. Istvan Pukki now leads. He's managed to build a healthy gap. A mega restart there from Pukki, who's already edged out a second on Cameron Dowds.
Yeah, I think this could be Istvan Pukki's race. You know, he's gone. He's checked out. He's gone. Istvan Pukki, 1.1 off the road. Donoso with a penalty for speeding in the pits. That'll be that for his day. Donoso retiring from the race once again. But Pukki has checked out. 1 second clear already. But, I mean, I'm still shocked at what's going on here. Ronar now is trying to challenge Duncan Hoffland up here, of course. But remember, of course, Hoffland got a penalty really early in the race. We're not sure if it was a triple warning or something along those lines. So we have to keep that in mind. Ishmael Fassi fighting with Luke Smith. And Smith goes through just up in front of him here. But there's not long left. Cameron Dowds is still second. Sipos is challenging him. They just need to keep it together for another few laps. But Istvan Pukki is in full control.
He is. He's currently urging quicker and quicker. 1.4 now. Predator has a go at Jarno Altmaier and has taken him around Pouhon as well. Patrick Schipos up into third place ahead of Otis Lawrence. That confirms it, folks. The dry tyres are now in full swing. Altmaier and as well as Otis Lawrence are going to be under immense pressure for the rest of this race should these conditions remain.
Yeah, Jarno would have been in a comfortable race lead had he just gone to stayed out on the dries, but now he's under severe pressure because here comes Duncan Hoffland, here comes Thomas Ronar at the same time as well, side by side, 2x2 through Blanchimont, corner contact as they come through. Blanchimont still side by side, Ronar goes through, Borman trying to find space on the inside, contact with Hoffland going through there. This is all helping Istvan Pukki up front. Altmaier runs out of room on the way through the final corner, but he will have the inside line for the next part of the corner. Borman now senses an opportunity down the inside. Goes Borman into the first corner, but he'll have to now see the position surely on the run down towards Eau Rouge corner. He doesn't have the run, but Borman now, this is crucial championship points hanging on through here, up in towards Blanchimont, Eau Rouge and Radion up the top. Of course, here comes Luke Smith, don't forget about him as well as they head down. Borman, crucial championship points on offer here on the outside line in the Ferrari. Has he got the grip to do so? Round the outside of Ronar, he gets his awesome, and Ronar's round.
Ronar's round, he got tapped there slightly by Barry Burman. They came together out of Lecom. Ronhaar now reduced to P16, the championship leader. It is all frozen over. Ronhaar now towards the back. The only man behind him is Altmaier on intermediate tyres. A sensational moment in this Belgian Grand Prix.
And now look at this, Borman's catching Hoffland and Otis Lawrence through the middle of the corner as well. There goes Otis Lawrence, he's round into the wall.
He's
Hard
out.
impact for Otis Lawrence. Otis Lawrence is out of the race. In their safety car's out again.
Safety car out, goodness me. And Pukki's dream is very quickly slipping away. Now, the big question is, do they decide a box? We've only got a mere 5 laps left, Jack. We might only have a few laps left of racing now.
Right. I can't keep up with this. I can't. But this is not.
Goodness
This
me.
is really not. This is not what Istvan Pukki needed. He built such a lead. He was gone out front. Wow. This is the best race of the season already.
Are you all enjoying yourself in the live chat? Just as me and Jack Canan are? I tell you what, we like having you on board for this one. Let us know your thoughts. I tell you what, I don't know what we're seeing here. Pukki stays out. Cameron Dowd stays out.
Benham in.
Benham has decided to come in. Now that is a big call. Benham now deciding to come off the softs. Yeah, he's got to pick a fresh set of softs. No other choice in the matter.
Oh, Nicholas. Longer getting the 5-second speeding penalty on the way through.
Goodness me.
But that has inadvertently saved Jarno again, bringing them back. P16, fresh softs. Jake Benham is going to be on fresh softs behind Thomas Ronnar. Settle in. This is going to be absolutely mental.
Goodness me.
Istvan Pukki still in the lead though. I tell you what, he's still in control though, George. They're going to have a hard time. This could be a sensational first ever victory. And the last time we had a sensational victory here at Spa was the man who's in P4, which was Philip Preschneider all those years ago.
Correct. It was exactly right. And we were both in the commentary box for that exact race. And it was a sensation, a bizarre race. It is never boring at Spa-Francorchamps, folks. Istvan Pukki on to take his first PSGL win still. Obviously, this strategy still very much favours him. One person you can't write off, though, I mean, I'm not sure where Preschneider is with his tyres right now. Obviously, it's going to be a huge ask for him to finish. But remember, we are under safety car conditions.
This will save them.
Yeah, the tyre wear is going to be so much more reduced here at this point. If he can just literally do what he can to save the tyres, don't get them heated up too much, he could be within yet touching distance of yet another race win. Who knows? He's did it before, Jack. He could do it again.
Certainly can. And, well, just to go back to that crucial move by Barry Borman and Thomas Ronnar, it looked clean from me. There was a tiny bit of contact through the corner, but it was a sensational move from Barry Borman from my perspective anyway. Got the job done.
It was a racing incident, Jack. Racing
incident. It looked like it. It was sort of mid-corner contact, and unfortunately Ronnar just on the receiving end of it. But this is sort of exactly what Barry needed, isn't it? Ronar's outside the points at the moment, and he's in. So this will close the gap in the championship, but who knows? We're going to get, I think, another lap of safety car. So we're going to get a 3-lap sprint to the end here at Spa, and your guess is as good as mine as to who's going to win this.
Well, I tell you what, if you look at the tyres alone, obviously there's big question marks everywhere. Can Pukki hold on to the pace at the front on those medium tyres that have been out for 6 laps? Can Cameron Dowd catch him with DRS and effectively close it out? Because, of course, bear in mind, it will take time before the DRS reactivates. We'll obviously have to see whether we do get DRS before the end of this race. But Cameron Dowd's in behind nonetheless. What about Patrick Schipos, of course, on hard tyres? Will those hard tyres be better than the mediums in front? Has Philip Preschneider conserved enough on that soft rubber in order to land an attack for the podium places? What about Duncan Hoffman? What about Barry Burman with his natural pace as well? There's question marks right through this. We're about to get the most intriguing 3-lap sprint you have ever seen in league racing, folks. And it's here on PSGL. I'm like a kid in the candy store here, Jack Canan.
I mean, so am I. And just to point out, this could have been Singapore, but it wasn't. And now we have Spa, and we got this for your entertainment this evening on a Wednesday with one of the finest races that we have seen. I don't know how it's ended up like this, but we have ended up like this. So we have Jake Benham, Daniel Kyer. Let's not forget Daniel Kyer, who's also on fresh softs. We've got Harvey Cowan, fresh softs. Jarno Watmere, fresh softs. Longue, of course, he shouldn't be able to do this, but it is in the game, has now served his penalty and is now P16 behind Jarno Watmere, fresh soft tyres. 3-lap sprint to the end. Istvan Pukki in control, 7-lap old mediums. Cameron Dowd in his debut race, can I point out, debut race, P2, in front of Patrick Schipos, who has a penalty. We have Philip Preschneider, who's on 5-lap old softs, and then we have Duncan Hoffland, who we're not sure, could get a penalty removed, we're not too sure, but then you have Barry Borman and the rest of the field behind Luke Smith in there in the net sort of what would have been P2. Wilson Hughes there in there as well. But
can you pick a winner? Can you pick a winner, Jack? Or...
I can't, as we're going to find. I really don't. Safety car in this lap, so let's just let this happen and see what the hell happens.
Well, I tell you what, folks, this is the moment. We will, of course, be witnessing the cars heading around the final sector before we go racing, and another restart here in PSGL. The third restart, or certainly the third that we undertake here in this Belgian Grand Prix. The safety car now is peeled away. Istvan Pukki effectively now taking up the role as the safety car on circuit. Cameron Dowds in behind him, Patrick Schipos in third. Philip Presnader will need a nice ballsy start to get things going. Pukki automatically now reading the pace, now sends it down towards the bus stop chicane. Cameron Dowds as well in behind now as they come through the bus stop chicane here on lap 19, soon to be 20, and we're going to hit pedal to the metal for the third time in this Grand Prix. Istvan Pukki leads the way, Cameron Dowds in second, Schipos in third as well. Presnader there with a little gap in behind as well. Duncan Hofland is there in behind him too. More and more cars dripping their way through. Schipos on the hard tyres, letting fly here at Cameron Dowds as now they rise up through a Rouge and Radion. Will he choose to open up the door here? Heading up this main straight. He has got the overtake primed in that Alpine as they head up now towards the Lecom corners. Heading through the next chicane. Cameron Dowds goes ultra defensive. In comes there Schipos as they tie up Schipos' round. Oh goodness me. Schipos round here at the restart at Belgium.
Yeah, and as we were saying, that Ronald's got a 3-second penalty, so that's going to drop him outside the points as well. This is a disaster of a day for the championship leader. This is not what he needed. We understand Duncan Hofland picked up a triple warning, so if that is the case, he will have that removed and is in a P4 position right now. But Istvan Pukki is still in the lead of this race. He's got a second to Cameron Dowds, and it's going to take a hell of an effort from anyone else to actually catch him, but there's still about 2 laps to go when we cross the line next time. Jake Benham is in P10, in P11 at the moment. He's on they're on fresh softs, of course. Those tyres have done 2 laps behind the safety car, so they're still very new, but they need to make this work. They still don't have at the moment, they still don't have DRS, so they'll have to work hard to get up to the back of these guys. Istvan Pukki first. Cameron Dowds, though, he's still hanging on to a debut podium. What a result that'd be.
Yeah, he's maintaining the gap, Jack. That time gap is not being reduced. Presnader can't close up to the young man. Thomas Ronhart now making moves this time with Wilson Hughes as they come together. Of course, Wilson Hughes trying to land a blow to take that P8, but Ronhart just too quick as they exit out of the bus stop chicane. Alvaro Caraton also getting in the mix too as they head down towards the source corner. It's still Pukki, though, advancing his lead here, out by a second. Clear of Cameron Dowds, but he's not losing that second place. Presnader can't get close to him, Jack.
Yeah, but Presnader, I think it's just his tyres are just that little bit too old. You've got the blistering going on down the centre of the tyre, but he's still, at the moment, he just needs to hold where he is. He just needs another lap and a half to hang on and take an unbelievable podium for Philip Presnader, you have to say, but Duncan Hofland is waiting to take that off him if that is a penalty. Of course, Jake Benham moves up to P10. He's in the points now in P10, chasing after Wilson Hughes, but these guys mine are not really making progress. Daniel Kyer down the inside of Caraton, contact through the corner, and Caraton's almost half the way round, and he hangs onto the car somehow. Opber goes round his outside through no-name corner, and Longo's going to try follow through as well. He's been absolutely mugged there. Unfortunately, Caraton drops to the back of the field with that instant there between himself and Daniel Kyer, but I think now Istvan Pukki's got this in his back pocket, George.
It certainly seems like it. 1.5 second advantage ahead of Cameron Dowds. Philip Presnader in third. Can't get close to Dowds at this point. Big chance for a Cinderella story here at the PSGL for the Belgian Grand Prix. Can a young man who has come in literally out of nowhere, literally a guest star here in this phenomenal race, Cameron Dowds for R8G in a Williams livery, looking to take his, P2 in his very first PSGL F1 PC race. Incredible to say the least. You can see there Pukki still leads. 1.5 seconds. DRS is enabled, so Presnader will have have a chance to go up against him as they head through that corner at La Source. Can Dowds hang on? That is the big bold question. You can see that the Williams just there in front of Philip Prejneda. They'll rise up through Eau Rouge and Radion as they exit underneath the banner. Pookie is gone. He is clear. 1.7 is the gap. Cameron Dowds though with a healthy advantage. It's coming down though by every stretch of the moment. Dowds is saving, but Prejneda's not. Inside line now. Turns it to the outside as they head in towards Lake Com. Prejneda, he's up into second place. He's usurped Cameron Dowds, but don't count out the Williams. I'm sure he'll come back fighting.
Yeah. Straight back at him, inside line from Prejneda. He'll have the inside into the next part of the corner and shuts the door. Here comes Duncan Hoffland on the outside at the same time. Will he make it work around the outside of No Name? And Cameron Dowds, unfortunately, going to be left out to dry here. Boremand moves up into fourth as well behind Duncan Hoffland, and there still might be a podium on here. This is unfortunate for Cameron Dowds. He hung on for so long. A valiant effort from the young man who filled in just at the last possible moment here in Spa, but this is going to be a crazy ending to this Grand Prix. This has been the craziest Grand Prix, the most mental race at PSGL we've had in so long. He's round. Prejneda's dropped it. He's gone. He's dropped it. Borman's now in second. What a race here we've got on our hands here in PSGL. But we'll keep our eyes on that in a few moments' time, because there is a sensational debut victory happening in front of our eyes. Out of the final corner, Istvan Pukki wins for the first time in PSGL. Barry Bormand will pick up second place. Hoffland will drop down with a penalty. Cameron Dowds on the podium. He's on the podium for the first time in his PSGL career. Vassi, Smith, Kyer, Benham, Opmir, Caraton, Ronar scraped a point out of this race. Istvan Pukki for the first time wins, and Cameron Dowds is on the podium in his first ever race.
Driver of the day as well, without a doubt. Driver of the day, Cameron Dowds. I agree with the game on this one. What a phenomenal result, Jack Canan. An amazing drive from Istvan Pukki. Take no shine off him. A debut race here in PCF1, and it's a debut victory for Istvan Pukki. Tremendous race from Barry Burman.
He came from last
to P1 for Pukki. Incredible. An amazing drive, and you got to give Cameron Dowds credit. He was, what should we say, last to third for Cameron Dowds. Credit as well, though, to Barry Burman, lodging an assault towards the very end, taking P2 at the death. Istvan Pukki takes P1. Cameron Dowds, I hope your father's watching. He'll be dead proud, as will RHE. Last to a P3, ladies and gentlemen. We have seen magic. We've seen sensation at PSGL. We've just witnessed wholesomeness. An amazing race here at Belgium.
I can't believe that just happened. Let's take a moment to just run through the final race order. Istvan Pukki for Haas with his first ever victory. Bormand, who started second, finishes second. Cameron Dowds from the back of the grid to P3, Ishmael Fassi in fourth, Luke Smith in fifth, Daniel Kyer from 19th into sixth as well. Unbelievable job. Jake Benham gets himself points. Jan Watmir P8, Caraton P9, and Ronar scraping P10 after all of that. I'm lost. I can't believe that, but absolute credit to Istvan Pukki. He's been so strong, George. He's been there or thereabouts, and he's finally got himself a PSGL PC F1 victory, and wow. But I'm so delighted for Cameron Dowds. I mean, that is just incredible.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. I know that he's literally, it's funny because he's called Cameron's dad in the live chat. Amazing. I mean, I got to say, we are going to get, I think, an interview. We've got to get, we'll get him an interview. I think we have to, don't we? I mean, it's a rule. Jack, I cannot believe what we've seen. I mean, we as commentators, Jack, we're passionate people, folks. Passionate. And this is what we want. Certainly, just big moments like this that could certainly change a young man's life. And, you know, it may be the smallest thing, but I tell you what, it'll mean so much to this young man. And I can tell you this, Cameron Dowds is in the waiting room. I'm going to move him into the commentator's box. I mean, it doesn't have to be a win sometimes, but nevertheless, a podium in your first try is brilliant. Cameron, you're joining us in the commentary box, mate. You must be elated. I'm sure your father's watching as well. He must have loved every bit of it.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Crazy, is that all you've got for us? I would have thought you'd be screaming and shouting. I mean, just talk us through it, mate. Did you think you had? Did you think it was in the bag? What were your thoughts? I mean, when you were working your way through that race, because it was bizarre from a strategy sense.
I know. Yeah, in qualifying, it was just an absolutely horrible lap. It was just shaky leg, and it was just an horrible lap. And then in the race, my engineer decided to go for something different, and it just worked out absolutely perfectly. It just went into harmony, and we were able to make up quite a lot of places on the mediums. And then on that inter stint, it was quite stressful. And then at the end, it was even more stressful. Just like the cars were so bunched up, it was so hard to like just needle my way through battling. But I managed to. I had contact with Patrick. I think I left him enough space. I'm not sure. Maybe I didn't. I hope I did. But well, yeah, that's crazy.
I mean, just give us your thoughts and feelings. Obviously, you came into this lobby tonight. This is your first appearance. Were you nervous stepping up? Because obviously you know what this grid's all about. PSGL PCF1 is obviously the highlight of league racing nowadays. Obviously the best drivers in the world competing here. Essentially you're on the same grid as a two-time F1 esports champion, not to mention drivers that were in contention for last year's championship right to the very end. I mean, what was going through your mind on the lead up to tonight's event?
I wasn't really going into it expecting much. After qualifying, I thought maybe like high end of like P10 or P11 would be good. But yeah, the strategy was just really good and it went into harmony. I was quite nervous before it, but like same with qualifying. But then when I went into the race, it was a bit better, and it was just about concentrating and focusing.
Yeah, and you're am I right in saying you're only 13 years of age?
Yeah.
Amazing! What a testament! Incredible. Is your father there by any chance?
No, he's at work right now.
He's at work. Oh, he's watching from work. Yeah. Incredible. Oh, if you're out there, Cameron's dad, well done. But just looking ahead now, Cameron, what's the plan for you? What's your hopes and dreams to achieve in the future? Have you got goals in mind? Where do you want to be? Should we say in the future in terms of this esport that we're in?
I definitely want to try and be as close to esports as I can when I'm 16. I want to try and be maybe in it. It might be a long shot, but yeah, hopefully close to or in esports by 16. But I just got to keep going and focusing at the moment.
Well, if you keep this strong mental ability up for as long as possible, I'm sure that will be a very easy touch. Just keep up that same strong mentality, young man. You did a tremendous job tonight. I hope to see you here again in the future. Congratulations on a superb result. Well done.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Cameron Dowds, everybody. What a human being. Amazing young man. And 13 years of age, can you believe it? We're also joined by Barry Burrowman as well. Barry, on a level of races, I suppose, that one was bizarre. I mean, I suppose it's one you can't really manage. It's essentially something you certainly can't strategize. That's something you sort of, you pull a strategy out to the air in moments like this. Just talk it out from your point of view. Give it to us.
Yeah, first of all, hello to everyone and you. Yeah, that race, I'm not gonna lie, I was so mad mid-race. I was like, oh my god, because also in quali, I was on a really good lap, but they invalidated in the place that I never done it in my life. But yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, if you go to the races, I mean, the race I tried to get to P1 before Jake passed me, but yeah, Jake passed both of us, and then yeah, he was carrying before he lost the car. Then yeah, everything was just chill. I overtook Thomas. Oh, this is interesting. I overtook Thomas, so I be the leader when pitting for Inter, which I was. I pitted for Inter in that lap. We all both did, and then of course I got held up on the pit. And then Thomas passed me again, and in that moment I was so mad, not gonna lie, because nothing I could do. I just pitted, and then yeah, I got help. And then yeah, after that I tried, and then yeah, there's so many safety car, and then in the last lap I had so much errors, and then I used it, and yeah, was just P2. I think it was the best I could get with this, so many strategy and so much drama, which I don't really like it personally. Like, I don't understand safety car, but yeah, it is what it is.
Well, you can't manage moments like that, I suppose. In that sense, you certainly can't strategize them, but you must take some happiness knowing that when the restart happened, Barry, you were in P7, so you managed to fight back to a P2 place. I mean, was it a case towards that very end, obviously with it being essentially a sprint format, that you just had to go full guns blazing at that point?
Yeah, actually, if we want to speak about fun, it was really fun. Like, not gonna lie, it was really fun. Just try to overtake people, and then yeah, it was fun. But at the same time, you know, like when these things happen, so many safety car and this type of things, you just only can say, okay, nothing I could do. I'm just gonna focus on myself and just try my best. And anything happens, just it wasn't on my control. So, and that's what I did. And then yeah, P2 I think was the best I could get.
Well, it was a tremendous result for you, and obviously now the gap closing up on the championship, because obviously Thomas Ronha had that unfortunate spin earlier on. Obviously now it puts you back in touching distance of that race win as well. Obviously your first race win since Abu Dhabi. Of course, we've got more races coming up shortly. I believe Paul Ricard is next on the list. What are your thoughts as we head to France?
Sorry, can you say it again? Sorry, your voice lagged.
What are your thoughts when we head to France?
To be honest, as I said, I got like I think I gained so much points compared to Thomas, but yeah, as I said, in Qatar I was P1 and then I got disconnected, and then also I lost Brazil, and then yeah, Jeddah I couldn't really practice it. But yeah, if you want to speak about France, yeah, I mean, like this week I could actually practice. Like it was actually, the pace looks really promising and everything good. But yeah, I think next week I should be able to race as well, and then yeah, I'm looking forward to every track, man, and hopefully no more safety car, because it's actually so annoying.
Well, you never know. We might get some when we go to Paul Ricard. If it's wet
hopefully
enough.
not.
If it's wet enough. I'd like to see it, Barry. I'd like to see it. Never mind.
Please, no.
We love safety cars.
We love safety cars,
Oh my
Jack.
God.
We love it. But yeah, no, Barry, sensational performance, mate. Incredible job. P2 on the day. I tell you what, I don't think you could have got much better than that, so congratulations to you.
Yeah, exactly. I think the same. Thank you so much, George, Jack.
Thank you, Barry. Take it easy, my friend. Next up, race winner for the first time in PCF1 as well here at PSGL. Istvan Pukki joins us here in the commentary box. And what a performance by this young man. I'm just going to wait for him to unmute himself right now. He has now. Istvan, what a sensational result, my friend. You must be absolutely thrilled.
Yeah, coming up for tonight, I didn't expect to be on the podium. Honestly, I was kind of hoping for P5, but this is much better than I expected.
Oh, you don't say. Well, what an incredible result. I mean, your first visit to PCF. Well, you've come here to PCF1 here at Spa, and you know I've seen you in league racing historically, and we all know what this grid is like. Were there any nerves heading into tonight's race?
Not really. I'm not that kind of person, to be honest. You're
as cold as ice. You're as cold as ice, mate.
Yeah, but honestly, I used to have the nerves on quali, but as soon as I start my lap, it goes away.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it was all about management in that race, wasn't it? I mean, obviously we had safety cars left, right and centre, wet weather, dry weather, changing of tyres, compounds. I mean, was there any doubt in the strategy that you took? Was there any moment where you thought you might have made a mistake?
Yeah, obviously it was a very risky strategy, so I didn't expect the top 5, top 6 to come to the pit for the mediums when it was still raining, but I was quite surprised that only Arno, me and I think a few guys behind me for us pitted for the mediums only. So I was quite surprised about that, because when the safety car came out, it was already like 5 to 10 minutes till the rain stops, the Jeff said in the game. So I was quite sure that I won't lose too much, but I didn't expect to be at the lead. So I was hoping that I'm gonna jump like 5-6 positions, but wasn't expecting to be on it, yeah.
Well, you're our 5th different race winner this season. Obviously looking ahead now, we have more races to come. Can you see yourself coming back? What's your plans for the future? Are we going to see you back in PCF1?
It depends on when Challenger starts. As I heard, it's going to be starting like next week. So if it starts next week, then I don't think I'm coming. And if it doesn't, I think I will do. But let's see.
We'll have to wait and see then, that's for sure. But I'm sure we will see you back again very, very soon. A tremendous drive from yourself, Istvan. Incredible pace, incredible strategy management, despite the onslaught of safety cars. Enjoy the victory, my friend. 5th different winner this season, and it goes to Istvan Pukki. Congratulations, mate.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you very much, Eastfan. Incredible race, Jack Canan. I tell you what, I don't know what to say really. We've come here at the very end. We did not, envisage, should we say, any of those moments to happen. Crazy race, safety car left, right, and centre. Shades of USA. Obviously a different winner, but a driver that you wouldn't necessarily see at the top end. Of course, 5 different race winners this season. Eastfan Pookie has now etched his name as one of them. But it's a wholesome story, isn't it? Cameron Dowds picking up a podium. Yeah. I tell you what, this is what league racing is all about.
Yeah, this is classic league racing. I mean, we have the same guys winning every week, but then occasionally you get stuff like this where you have crazy races and
moments of magic.
Eastfan Pookie comes. Yeah, and just to point out, Cameron Dowds, that we'll point it out again. First ever race in PCF1, full stop.
Yes,
and he comes in and he pulls off that, which is incredible.
Monumental.
But just while it's in my head, George, championship standings.
Yes.
How the hell did that go after all of that? But we're keeping an eye, of course. All of this, remember, is provisional.
Yeah.
After stewards' inquiries, which I'm sure there will be.
There will be a few.
But there will be certainly a few. But current championship standings at the moment, Ronar still leads on 65 points, but he did have a 21 point lead. That championship lead is now 11 points. So it's come down quite a lot.
Is Barry Burman second?
Barry Borman is now second on 54 points. I believe on my rest of my calculations, I see Otmir third on 45 and Jake behind him on 44. That's my current calculations, but as we know, they're usually a point or two off. But Barry has brought the gap down to 11 points, and it was 21 earlier today, so big result.
So we've got a multi-car title fight in the equation. I know we're only halfway through, folks, but nevertheless, 7 races. It won't be long before we head down towards the latter point of the season. You do not want to miss a thing. I tell you what, it's all going to come and hit you hard, that's for sure. I tell you what, if you fancy watching this again, fancy subscribing as well, please do, at Premier Sim Gaming Leagues. Make sure you hit the subscribe button down below, folks. Leave a like. You can also check us out on social media, Twitter, Instagram, as well, at Premier Sim GL. Make sure you check them out. You get all the updates then from the league too. As well, if you fancy being part of it in the future, you can also sign up as well through the Discord. Of course, if you want to check me out too, my name is George Morgan, at George Morgan TV. That's where you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, as well as Facebook. Jack Canan, share your social if you please.
Absolutely. If you want to get me on Instagram, it's Jack_Canan. And if you want to get me on Twitter, it's at JackCComs with the 2 C's, guys. The 2 C's.
2 C's.
You won't find
Don't
me.
miss the 2 C's.
I did want to point out before we go, George. We didn't miss it, Tristan. The £10 super chat. We didn't miss it.
No, we didn't.
But we were in the middle of an absolutely mental final lap. So sorry, but we do want to acknowledge that.
It was
so
bad
Tristan,
timing, Tristan. Naughty boy.
Terrible timing.
Terrible timing.
Or we were at least calming down from an absolutely crazy final lap. So
yeah, it was carnage.
Give us some credit there.
Yeah, no,
Thank you,
absolutely right. Thank you, Tristan. Thank you for the super chat. It is much appreciated, my man. Big thank you to everyone in the live chat as well. Thank you to all our spectators here. Of course, what a race here at Spa. It never fails to amaze. We've just witnessed an incredible victory for Eastfan Pookie. Cameron Dowds very nearly picking up a sensational P2. But that, of course, fell to Barry Burman. The championship fight is getting closer. I won't be here next week, but I'm sure someone else will. Well, I might be here next week. I don't know yet, actually. But yes, folks, it has been a tremendous season so far. Do not miss it. Next time we go racing is Paul Ricard. We'll see you next time here at PSGL. Take care of yourself. Bye.
This broadcast was brought to you by GT Omega, proudly supporting PSGL.